Alright, everything seems to be working. Okay. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Just a little bit. I just sent all the messages out, so see if anyone actually comes and see if it's not gonna be just me. Nope. I've got some stuff pulled up. I'm gonna be doing some CreepyPasta. Be reading a handful of stories and recording them. I have a reference for, let's see, how many is it? 8,830 items? Yeah, that's about how many stories I got. Some of them might be repeats depending on how it was phrased, but if I can't find it on here and it's someone's suggestion, I can definitely go online, which I have right here for the CreepyPasta Wikia. And I'll do it like that. This way, you know, you guys can see it. There's something visually on screen, but mostly this is just a listen. So I'll wait a second and see if anyone actually comes on while I drink some of my fresh tea. Now for some ASMR. Alright, where was it? Suggestions, there we go. I've done no end house. So if I do that one, I won't record that one since I already have the first part in 3 pieces. But if I go to the second part or the third part, which I think I have, then I will probably do that. I'll record that. God, why is it so white? It's so bright. Oh, it's N. Do I have it on here? I do not. No End House was one I found. Neat. Okay. I'll be recording it in Audacity. Where is one concurrent viewer? I assume I'm the one concurrent viewer. And check the stream. Yeah. Alright. So it looks like our first suggestion was Stay in Bed. Apparently by a pretty familiar writer. Often on the CreepyPasta is Slime Beast. He writes a lot of these. I need to try and remember to credit the authors. And if you guys see any of my videos where I didn't credit the author for a video, either I couldn't find it, didn't notice it, or forgot it, so I can at least correct it in the title or the description. And I'll be happy to do that and make sure they get credit, because some of these stories are pretty bomb, pretty awesome. Ugh. Alright, we got anything else going on? Test Beast Wizard, alright, someone's here. Cool. What the hell? Alright. Neat. I think I can go ahead and start. Awesome. And the chat's working. Alright, I think I'll go ahead and start with the Stay in Bed. first. Where's my... There it is. You go away. No one cares. Okay. We'll start with this one. Cat. Power of editing compels me. Alright. Does it say how long the story is? No, it does not. It's, this is a quick read. Stay in bed. I was in a rush when I booked the reservation. The hotel I wanted to stay at, the one I was used to, had been overbooked for a custom car show that was going on that left me out of luck. No amount of grumbling or growling on the phone could convince them any years of patronage were worth the... No amount of grumbling and growling and... No amount of grumbling and growling into the phone could convince them my years of patronage were worth the effort of pulling a few harmless strings. So, after a brief and aggravating visit to a website I didn't fully get the hang of, I was left with a room at the Stay Inn. The listing had given no real information on the place, other than to say it was a rustic spot on the outskirts of the city, with VHS players in every room. Looking at the place gave me no more sense of what I was in for. The wooden facet was made to resemble a log cabin. Okay. The wooden is that facet or facade? The wooden facade was made to resemble a log cabin, though I presume the structure beneath was nothing more than a standard fare. The rooms were lined up in one long, regimented row that seemed to trail off into the pitch-black forest that surrounded the place. Behind the trees, I could hear the forlorn calls of owls and incessant insect-like humming of what seemed to be biblical horde. I could hear the forlorn calls of owls and the incessant insect-like humming of what seemed to be a biblical horde. Good evening, sir. The cheery... Oh, it's female. Okay. They are female. Good evening, sir. The cheery female clerk behind the desk greeted me as the bell above the door... Oh, fuck. The cheery female clerk behind the desk greeted me as the bell above the door signaled my arrival. Do you have a reservation? The lobby, or whatever you would call the closet-like space. Yeah, we can't talk tonight. The lobby, or whatever you would call that closet-like place, was adorned with the mounted heads of several deer. The owner of this place had indeed been quite keen on the rustic decor. Shelves displayed black and white... Damn it. Oh, cats make it so hard. Shelves displayed black and white photographs of lumberjacks, fishermen, and hunters posing with each living thing they had felled. Yes, reservation for Cal White? The statement had come out as a question, and as soon as it left my lips, I knew the backwater heap of an inn. And as soon as it left my lips, I knew the backwater heap of an inn had already... Damn it. And as soon as it left my lips, I knew the backwater heap of an inn was already causing me discomfort. Let's see. The clerk dug through the thick book of mismatched papers until she found something of note, pointing to it with one sharp finger. Here you are. Room 9. I should note that the check-in girl was not hard to look at. She was on the short side, wearing a cute red bob that accented. Not ascended. She was on the short side, wearing a cute red bob that accented the heart shape of her face. Her smile could have used a bit of work in terms of aligning some straight teeth. Then again, perhaps the off-center grin did something for her. She wore a cherry red tie over a pink dress shirt with sleeves rolled up at the wrists. Under the desk, I could see just up to her bare calves. I don't like that. Under the desk, I could see just up to her bare calves. The heels she wore were also bright red, though I couldn't fathom how tiny she must have been without them. After exchanging information and pleasantries, I took the key from her. It was attached to a comically large wooden 9. It appeared as if a Cub Scout had adorned its surface in swirling patterns using the wood-burning kit. Oh, one more thing. She called after me as I was halfway out the door. We have a curfew. After midnight, you need to stay in bed. I laughed, nodded, and waved a goodbye. I couldn't have cared less about some ridiculous and arbitrary rule, but figured I'd have no reason to be up late anyway. I would be in a city early tomorrow morning. I'd be in the city early tomorrow morning. The room was everything I had expected. Cramped, windowless, musky, and slightly damp. Nothing was specifically wet, and yet when I touched the walls, I felt as if there was the slightest sensation of moisture on my fingertips. Similarly, the blanket and the sheets felt as if I could wring the slightest drops of water out of them if I tried hard enough. Fuck your phone! I had wondered if the promise of a VHS player in every room would be fulfilled. To my surprise, one resided on the top of the dresser, next to the outdated cinder block of a television. The bent antenna with no visible cable connection didn't bode well. And I turned the damn thing on, only to receive static and white noise. The din of static was deafening at first. At last, resident, or at least this last... Can I get rid of that? Dude. Is that gonna... Oh. Neat. It worked! I didn't know it worked that well on this particular site. Alright, where is my place? Okay, there it is. The din of the static was deafening at first. The last resident, or at least the last person to The last resident, or at least the last person to try the TV, had left the volume at its maximum setting. All at once I was assaulted by the ear-splitting hiss. As I spun the volume knob downward, my face mere inches from the screen, I caught the sight of movement within the snow. It wasn't like the random It wasn't like the random, frantic motion of the static. The small... Can't get away from cat problems. Ever. God damn it. I'd like to not hit the mic, please. It's alright. Like I said, it's just recording, so... Alright. It wasn't like the random, frantic motion of the static. The small, strange blob of discoloration within the mess... God. Crazy. Dang it. I'm recording on Audacity. I have it more sensitive. I don't know if you guys can hear it on the other end. Alright. The small, strange blob of discoloration within the mess was moving in a fluid, constant manner. The amorphous color spot grew slowly in size, and soon it appeared to be the outline of a man, of a person at least, walking slowly towards me. Convinced this was nothing more than my mind trying to make sense of the senseless imagery. There. Jesus. Static. Dang it. No, he can hear the bells. The bells! Oh, the noise. We just did that and just recorded the whole Grinch Stole Christmas. Just record all that. Oh, jeez. Okay. Convinced this was nothing more than my mind trying to make sense of this senseless imagery, I backed away from the set and focused hard. The static man kept walking towards me. Nothing more than a dark discoloration of the endlessly stirring visual catastrophe. It drew closer. Closer. Until a face nearly filled the screen. I call this a face, but really all I can make out was a slight shine in what would be the eyes and the slightest hint of a mouth. Might be just the front desk bell at the hotel, though. Yeah. It's something I do plan to do when I record these, or when I edit these. I do plan on putting in immersive sounds. So I'm going to be sound farming for a chunk. And I think I'll try and sound farm before I actually start editing so I know what I want to get. The face drew back as if it were looking at me down at a non-existent nose. As if it were looking down at its there we go. The face drew back as if looking at me down its non-existent nose. Then the head tilted to one side as I quickly and suddenly moved to turn off the set. The static man dodged downward and to one side. All at once he was gone. After I turned off the set, I unplugged it from the wall, knowing logically that this was nothing more than a mental misreading of an... damn it. Knowing logically that this was nothing more than the mental misreading of a non-pitcher. I still feel the need to I still felt the need to turn the set facing the wall. Feeling now as if the entire room were to be somehow feared, I dressed for sleep and buried myself in the bed. I figured my imagination was not done playing tricks on me, as I could have sworn I felt... I figured my imagination was not done playing tricks on me, as I could have sworn I felt the fleeting touch of and tickle of cockroaches moving against my bare skin beneath the blanket. Damn. I figured my imagination was not done playing tricks on me, as I could have sworn I felt the fleeting touch and tickle of cockroaches moving against my bare skin beneath the blanket. As I twitched, turned, and repeatedly studied my bedding. As I twitched, turned, and repeatedly studied my bedding, I could consider it nothing more than phantom itches one experience is made to feel uncomfortable. Okay. As I twitched, turned, and repeatedly studied my bedding, I could consider it nothing more than the phantom itches one experiences when made to feel uncomfortable. I fell asleep quickly, or at least I suppose I did. And it wasn't until exactly midnight that I was cruelly jarred. And it was... Gracie! Gracie! Give me just a moment. There's Carrot. Take Carrot. Alright. Okay. I fell asleep quickly, or at least I suppose I did, and it wasn't until exactly midnight that I was cruelly jarred out of my slumber. And it wasn't until exactly midnight that I was cruelly jarred out of my slumber. And it wasn't until exactly midnight that I was cruelly jarred out of my slumber. A slight sound, barely a sound at all, caused my eyes to flash open as if I had been awake all along. I couldn't place the sound, though it struck me as sort of a wet, sick groan. In the seconds that followed, I decided that it must have been some quirk in the pipes. If they still had VCRs, then what I couldn't see must have been positively ancient. If they still had VCRs, then what I couldn't see must have been positively ancient. Am I reading that? I guess I am. Okay. The sound came again, stifled by the walls of my disheveled tomb. Disheveled. The sound came again, disheveled by the walls of my... Damn it! Throwing the wrong word out. The sound came again, stifled by the walls of my disheveled tomb. Cursing the noise and cursing the hour, I turned and exited the warm bed. Chill in the air had stuck until then. Cursing the noise and cursing the hour, I turned and exited the warm bed. The chill in the air hadn't stuck me until I left the relative comfort of my resting place. The chill in the air hadn't struck me until I left the relative comfort of my resting place. Is someone there? I called to the front door, careful to keep my voice low enough to avoid waking others. My bare feet seemed to squish against the slick carpet as I moved to the door, arms wrapped around myself for heat. Hello? Hello? I leaned in and brought my eye level with the peephole. Beyond the door, an old floodlight suspended from a wooden beam illuminated the parking lot. Weeds that had seemed merely unsightly in the early hours of the night now cast long, tendril-like shadows that swept the pavement as a frigid breeze blew. Beneath the wooden beam, swaying slightly as if going along with the overgrowth, was a young woman. Her hair was jet black, and she wore a sheer nightgown through which the light exposed all of what was meant to be hidden. The young woman clasped herself in much the same manner I was, and I figured she must have been utterly frozen out there. Though her back was turned to the door, I could see her pale skin that was... Though her back was turned to the door, I could see by her pale skin that she was in trouble. Thinking quickly, I threw on my shoes and removed my robe. Thinking quickly, I threw on my shoes and removed my robe, which would soon be wrapped around the girl I was about to save from exposure. I moved to the door again, gripping the knob. I had given it a half-turn when I once again peered through the peephole. No longer did I see the young woman. I didn't even see the parking lot. All I could see was a span of bright red. Finding this a bit odd, I released the knob and searched the image for any sign of explanation. Had someone heard me calling? Had they hung something on the door to block my view? Wham! That one. The door shook as something stuck it. Immediately it had the notion that two fists had been rammed against its surface, the sudden and unexpected violence causing me to stumble back. I landed on the bed before I had even realized I was crossing the room. All was silent once again as I watched through the peephole from afar. A small dim beam of light emerged from that opening, telling me that whatever had been blocking the view would now be had now been removed. Throwing the robe back around my shoulders, I moved to the door again, saying nothing out of the ordinary now beyond the pinpoint opening. I threw the door open and searched the surrounding area for any sign of the young woman. Mr. White? The girl behind the counter seemed aghast as... Mr. White! The girl behind the counter seemed aghast as I barged into the lobby, still garbed in my nighttime attire. I told you about the curfew. What? I cautiously searched the room for any sign that someone else had been... I keep saying one I say has been. Damn. I cautiously searched the room for any sign that someone else had been passing through recently. I don't care about that. Listen, someone was outside my room just now. It was a girl. She looked like she was about to die, and when I looked again, someone was blocking my view. Mr. White, please, the clerk begged. You have to go back to your room, and please, please, stay in bed. No! I rushed to the desk and planted my palms down on it. Come on, we have to see if she's okay. This is your responsibility. I can't leave my station, Mr. White. She shook her head, brow furrowed, as if I had just made some piggish advance. It was as if I had made some piggish advance on her. I grasped the woman's wrist, intent on forcing her to follow. Mr. White! She managed to Oh, excuse me. She managed to wrest herself a... How do I English word? She managed to wrest herself away. Is that supposed to be wretch? Away from me. I'm gonna say wretch. I'm gonna replace it. She managed to wrench herself away from me as I could see her outrage building. I cannot and will not leave this desk. Fine. I threw my hands in... Fine. Fine. I threw my hands in the air, exasperated. Do nothing. I'm going to find out what the hell is going on. I made my way to the door again, and once more she called after me. You can't do that. I mean, you shouldn't. Silently, I let the door close as I fixed a hard gaze on her. See? The curfew is an hour doing. It's just... Wait. Oh, okay, that's her. Okay. See, the curfew is an hour doing. It's just... You shouldn't go out around midnight. We have some... extra guests. Oh? I raised a brow. How do you mean? There was a murder here several years ago. A girl was killed and dumped into a lake beyond the trees. Sometimes she comes around in the middle of the night, in particular at midnight, like she's trying to find the family she was staying with. She must think anyone else she sees and the person she's looking... She must think that anyone she sees is the person she's looking for. She'll drag you back to that lake with her. I let out a disbelieving chuckle, one which was ignored as she continued on. No. Oh. Hello, Shadowstar. Can't leave the desk. Ooh. You probably saw the poor thing. She's pale like a ghost. Her face was mangled and torn apart. I turned once more to leave, feeling there was a good chance I was the butt of a joke. Feeling there was a good chance trying too hard. Feeling there was a good chance I was the butt of some sort of joke. Then her words caused me to freeze in my tracks. She was left with only one swollen, blood-filled eye. You're full of shit. I walked halfway to the desk and stopped. What is this? Some sort of murder mystery hotel? A paranormal experience fun night? Your web listing really should have mentioned. See for yourself. The clerk gestured to the shelf, to the photos that reside there. Regarding the strange woman with a sideways glance, I went to the shelf and pulled down one of the pictures. It showed a hunter posted with the corpse of a bad buck. A bad buck? What the hell? It showed a hunter posted with the corpse of a large buck. What? Did the deer do it? Damn it. What? Did the deer do it? I snapped. Before the clerk could respond, I spotted the abnormality. Before the clerk could respond, I spotted an abnormality. I could see large written words barely visible on the photo, reversed as if the other side carried the message. Less than carefully, I separated the frame and snatched out the picture. The photo had been clipped from a newspaper, and was of no real importance. The article attached to it was the actual memento. Okay. The article attached to it was the actual memento. Fourth murder at local hotel. The headline gave me a start. The words that followed did nothing to settle my nerves. The further I read into the article, the less I was sure of my skepticism. Community leaders are at a loss to explain the yearly killings that were taking place in the Stay Inn and on... Damn it, I almost had that. Damn. Community leaders are at a loss to explain the early killings that are taking place at the Stay Inn on Elk Road in a rural area around the Nevada-Arizona border, about 20 miles south of Las Vegas. Police have no comment at this time, though they admit to believing the 4 killings are in some way related. I looked to the other photos, then back to the clerk. Yes, she said quietly, anticipating my question. They're all clippings. There were 10 murders over a period of a decade, all young women, massacred and hidden somewhere in this area. Their faces. I startled, finding no words to complete the thought. No. She shook her head sadly as if I set the clipping and its frame back on She shook her head as I set the clipping and its frame and back on the shelf. No, not all of them. Galt strangled one of them with her pantyhose. Oh, come on. Galt strangled one of them with her pantyhose. Another girl he cut her into pieces. Galt? Yes, Victor Galt. The police killed him in a shootout just outside. He had holes drilled in the wall so he could look for victims. It's why we can't keep the weather out. Well, surely you can just patch that up. Unless he keeps making them? The clerk swallowed hard and nodded. He does. She drew a heavy breath and sighed. For the briefest moment, I caught her checking the doorway as if she was... I caught her checking the doorway as if she was expecting Galt to respond to his name being spoken. It's funny, she added with a bitter smile. They never realized there was always a murder days after Galt was called to fix a television. I slept in my car for the rest of the night. I gathered my things and drove to the city before I let myself fall asleep. I'm sure anyone else who passed by thought I was crazy, but by that point I felt safer amid the hobos and drug dealers than I did at the Stay Inn. It wasn't just because of the red-eyed girl, or even the presence that I had reversed viewed. It wasn't because of the red-eyed girl or even the presence that had reversed viewed me through the TV screen. Granted, they were no small part of my decision to leave. However, the final straw was the detail the clerk had told me, and what I noticed soon after. Another girl, she said. He cut her into pieces. It wasn't until I thought it over that I realized what was wrong. It was her high heels. And the bare calves I could just... It was her high heels, and the bare calves I could just see above. It was her high heels, and the bare calves I could see just above. They were slightly off to her side. Credited to Slime Beast. Well, that was neat. Huh. was pretty good. I'll cut that into, hopefully it'll be down to 10 minutes after I cut out all the crap. Yep. Yep. That's why she could not leave. That's why she could not leave desk. Yeah, yeah. That was That's a good one. That was pretty neat. That was recommended by my fiance, Kaltuna. Now I need to save this. Save project as. There we go. Okay. Need to put this in. There it is. Okay. Alright, so this is. Stay in bed by Slime Beast. Cool. So that's saved. F11 or function F11 for full screen. Full screen for what? Because I'm flipping through stuff constantly. Dang, that guy should have stayed. Yeah, yeah, he should have stayed in bed. If he had listened, he would. Man, I can only imagine, you know, the next day. Well, whatever he did, it was not accomplished. You know, I think it's funny. Looking at some of these situations or some of these stories, and then you go back and you're like, all right, I wonder how the rest of his day was, or the next day, or his week, or whatever. Some of them will say something like that, like they were never the same or whatever. But no, what were the events? How did it go? How did that day go? You had to go to work. You're already out of time with people. There's people you don't know that you have to talk to. Browser overall doing, I guess. I mean, that wrong one. There we go. I mean, got it all nice and pretty up there. I'm not afraid of all my stuff. I don't know. Alright, so So I've done the first part of No End House. I thought I had it here, but I don't. So I need to find out. Yeah, just repress it until it comes out later in terrible fashion. It's like, alright, so the door's ripped up, but I feel a lot better now. Sorry about that. Just need something to hold me by. Okay. So the other one, No End House. Gage's family. What do you mean Gage's family? Famous. This isn't the right page, though. No, that's not the right page. There's like a proper CreepyPasta page. CreepyPasta Wikia page. Oh well. Oh, wait. There we go. Comes out later in part 2. Alright, so there's the No End House. Okay. Come on, really? CreepyPasta fandom. Okay, this should be the... Yeah, there we go. I was wondering what happened with that. Why was I not on this one? What the hell was that other thing? Damn. Okay. So this is the first no-one house that I believe I got through. Da-da-da-da. For 5 $100 bills. This is the first part, right? No one house in places dismemberment. This is the one I believe I've done. I have not done part 2 though. I mean, I put mine in parts before I realized there was more parts to No End House. If that makes sense. So we want... Yeah, I do remember this. It was weird. Have you seen it on there's a horror channel that I think that was on like Sci-Fi for a hot minute. You can find it on YouTube. I can't remember what it's called. But they did like some of these CreepyPasta live action or whatever. Or live action adaptations. The computer was addicted to heroin. Okay, sure. I need to... What's at the bottom of this? Nate Squidward suicide. Is it just comments? Was that all there was? There. Okay, these are just other sites that I don't care much about. Okay, so then... No One House Part 2. Are you cool with doing part 2? Because you can find the 3 parts to part 1 that I probably need to relabel on my channel. Ooh, this one's hefty. And it's created by Brian Russell. Not sure about that. Black Box was some good horror content, though. I'm not sure if the channel is still alive, though. Yeah, do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, alright. I have no more tea. Dang it. Oh, lean. Looks like my low latency is working better today. It's not 30 friggin' seconds. Alright. So we need new. There. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. No End House 2. It had been 3 weeks since I heard any word from David. In the 6 months since we started dating, we had only gone 3 days without talking. That was after a pretty intense fight. There was nothing out of the ordinary when I had talked to him last. He had just mentioned that he was going back to check something out that a friend told him about. But then I got a really weird text the night before. It was from David, but it wasn't from his number. It only had 5 words on it. It only had 5 words in it. No end. Don't come, David. Something was wrong. After I read that text, I felt nauseous, like I was seeing something I shouldn't. Move the mic a little bit. Make it easier to read. I decided to get a hold of Peter, but I had talked to this ass before. I decided to get a hold of Peter, but I had talked to this ass before. He was a deadbeat, but at least he might have some information on where David might be. I decided to log into AIM with David's. I decided to log into AIM. This is not my union. It's not the right letters. Damn. I decided to log into AIM. Yeah, I'll just call it AIM. I decided to log into AIM with David's account. I figured it would be easier to start something with Peter if he didn't know it was me. When I logged on, he immediately messaged me. David, holy shit, you had me worried. I thought you went to the house. What do you mean? No End House, man. That place I told you about, I could have sworn you were going... No End House, man. The place I told you about, I could have sworn you were That place I told you about, I could have sworn you were gonna go. No End. This guy knew what was going on. Yeah, I actually couldn't find it. Maybe I'll try again tomorrow. Where was it again? No way. You already had me worried. No way. You already had me worried. No, you already had me worried. Fuck that place. I've been there. You do not want to go. Fuck you, phone. Asshole. You know what? You want to know what what happens to the naughty phone? I'll tell you what happens to the naughty phone. You go on fucking airplane mode. You friggin' jackrabbit asshole. Get off of that. Go. Airplane mode, motherfucker. Film on airplane mode too. Sometimes it'll cut out your whatevers. Okay, there we go. Better. No way. You already had me worried. No way. You already had me worried. Fuck that place. I've been there and you do not want to go there. Peter, this is Maggie. Wait, what? Where's David? I don't know. I didn't realize it was Maggie. Dang. I don't know. I thought you would know, but apparently not. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. What? Seriously, Peter, you need to tell me what's going on. I think you went to the house. It's outside of town, maybe 4 miles down Terrence Street. Unmarked road, turn right. Shit, man, he's gone. No, I don't think he is. What are you planning on doing? I'm gonna get him back. I left the next night at around 8. There wasn't a single car in the entire trip. And as I turned onto the unmarked street, I saw a sign pointing down the road. No End, this way. Open 24 hours. My breathing hadn't been steady since I left my house, and seeing the house didn't help. There wasn't any other cars around, which made me think that it wasn't open. A light from the front stoop illuminated the surrounding area, and the windows showed the lights were on inside. I parked my car, walked up to the front, and made my way in. The front lobby was normal enough, but as I predicted, there wasn't anyone there. All the lights were on, but no one was there. Besides the door I came through, there was only one other. Posted next to it was another sign. Room 1, this way. 8 more follow. Reach the end, and you win. I don't remember, but I think it said 9 more follow last time. Oh, no. It was 8 more follow. I was thinking people, not rooms. Sorry. That wasn't what made my stomach sink. That wasn't what stopped my heart. There was more below, scrawled in handwriting in red. You won't save him. I must have stood in the lobby for an hour. I was frozen. I didn't know how to go on. Did I go through the door? Did I go through the door? Did I call the police? Oh, you mean do. Do I go through the door? Do I call the police? After reading the sign, I decided that I may have bit off more than I could chew. I'm average height for a girl, but pretty thin. I wasn't about to fight off some psycho that was holding David hostage. Well, I mean, being a girl, I mean, I've seen some martial artists that kick fucking ass. But I guess that's why you don't really see any martial arts creepypasta. Which I'm still trying to look for. I even asked Mr. Creepypasta a couple times about it. He's like, he'd never even heard of one. As many as he's gone through. Alright. I decided calling the cops was the best thing to do, so I reached into my pocket and opened my phone to call. No service. The house must have been blocking the signal, and it was basically in the middle of nowhere. I walked towards the entrance, figured I'd find service outside. I reached to the knob and twisted, and nothing. It was locked. I shook it harder, nothing. It was locked from the outside. I slammed my hands against the door and called out to anyone that could hear me. I knew it was useless. No one was out here except me. Then, I felt it vibrate in my pocket. I reached down and looked at my phone. One unread text. At first, I was really glad I had service. I was saved. Maybe the text was from David and that he was alright. It was from a different number, one I didn't have in my phone. I pressed open and nearly dropped the phone. You can't save yourself either. My entire body was shaking. I wanted to pass out. I was stuck there, a cell phone with no service in a room with no exit. My eyes scanned the room and landed on the door across the room. A gold one was mounted on the front. It looked like a room door in a hotel. The ground felt far away as I walked closer to the door. In a few moments, I was within inches of it. And I placed my head against the wood and listened. All I heard was distant Halloween music. Just creepy instrumental music you'd hear in any haunted house. Suddenly I got a little calmer. David was always known for his pranks. He could tell me about these elaborate setups he and his friends would make for new players on their soccer team. Somehow a smile found its way onto my face. And I opened the door without fear. Entering the first room alleviated my fears even more. The room was a completely normal attempt at a haunted house, though rather lacking. In each corner was a scarecrow, but not even scary ones. They were the kind you used to see in grade school, with the big smiling faces. Paper ghosts hung from the ceilings, and the fan in the corner added a cool breeze that mated them. And the fan and a fan in the corner added a cool breeze that made them spin. Next to one of the scarecrows was again the only other door in the room. Printed on the front, similar to the first door, was a large 2. I laughed and left this lame room behind me. When I opened the door to room 2, I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me. It was completely filled with gray mist that smelled like rubber. I guess there had to be some fog machine in here, and it must have been pumping this stuff for hours. There were no windows in the last room, so the ventilation must have been terrible. I walked slowly forward and let out a small shriek. I had bumped straight into a large robotic Jason Voorhees. His eyes flashed red with a knife in his hand and went up and down in a jerky stabbing motion. My heart was racing, and as if it was me, I would have felt My heart was racing, and if anyone was with me, I would have felt incredibly embarrassed. I covered my mouth and made my way past Robo Jason. The fog was getting to be a little much. I was beginning to feel lightheaded as I found the door to room 3. I placed my hand on the knob and jerked it back in pain. I placed my hand to the knob and jerked it back in pain. The knob was extremely hot. I placed my hand on the door itself and felt that it too was warm. I couldn't hear anything from the other side. I put my ear up to the warm door, expecting to hear a fire, and heard nothing. I assumed that it was just a worm, like they were pumping heat into it like a final door in a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at Disneyland. I took the corner of my dress and wrapped it around my hand, turning the doorknob as fast as I could, and I flung myself into room 3. There was no fire, just darkness, and it was freezing cold. Room 3 wasn't like the other rooms. It wasn't like the other rooms at all. At that moment, I knew something wasn't right. I tried to make out anything in the room, but I couldn't even see my hands grasping for the doorknob. That now wasn't there. I was trapped. I must have been turned around in the darkness, even though I didn't move once. Even though I didn't move once, I entered. I must have gotten turned around in all this darkness. Even though I didn't move once, I entered. I must have gotten... What the fuck? Doorknob wasn't... I was trapped. I must have been turned around in the darkness, even though I didn't move. Once I entered, I must have gotten turned around in all this darkness. That sounds better. At that moment, a light on the ceiling flashed on, a single spotlight pointing directly down, illuminating a small table, and on the small table was a flashlight. Even though I couldn't really see where I was going, I moved forward. The light on the ceiling was enough to make my way to the table. As I reached for the flashlight, I noticed a small tag attached to the handle. To Maggie, from management. The moment I finished reading, the light above me turned off and I was once again left in the dark. I fumbled with the flashlight for a second before I was able to turn it on. For what seemed like in every direction a low rumbling hum surrounded me. My heart was pounding and I started to spin in place, darting the beam of the flashlight all around me. There was nothing in the room, but after a while I noticed something terrifying. It could have been my imagination, but I could see a figure dart away in the last second whenever the beam of light hit. I began to panic. I started backing away from the small table, unsure which direction I was going. The hum was getting louder, and then I started to feel the presence of whatever it was that I was dodging. The hum was getting louder, and then I started feeling the presence of whatever it was that was dodging the light. My hand shook wildly as I frantically shined the light of whatever... Damn it. My hand shook wildly as I frantically shined the light in whatever direction I could think of. It was always there, just barely escaping into the darkness every time. But it was getting closer. My eyes started to well up with tears. I thought I was going to drop the flashlight, and the shaking I thought I was going to drop the flashlight. I was shaking so badly until I saw it. The light set directly on the small number 4. It was written on a piece of paper and taped to a wooden door in the corner. I ran as fast as I could with the flashlight pointed directly in front of me. I could feel it behind me. The hum was getting louder and I thought I felt its breath on my neck. I was sprinting at this point, only a few more feet to go. In one motion I grabbed the handle, twisted, and slammed the door behind me. I was now in the 4th room. I was outside. I wasn't in the house anymore. What awaited me after opening the door... What awaited me after opening the door to room 4 was what looked like a cave. I looked down to the ground and I noticed something strange and disturbing. The ground wasn't made of grass or rock or dirt. It was wood paneling. It was the same floor from the previous rooms. This was room 4. This was room 4. Somehow I was still in that house. There were a few torches mounted on the side of the rocks surrounding me, and the cave beyond was pitch black. The torches looked like they could be taken down, so I walked over to the closest one and unsheathed it from the mounting piece. My body was covered in sweat, and I slowly made my way into the cave. The hum was gone, hopefully for good. No other sounds met me inside the cave, but there was a slight breeze. The cave seemed to go on forever, and I was walking for what felt like hours, until I saw a faint blue light. I walked towards it, cautiously, but at a decent pace. The light was an opening, at the end of the tunnel. I started walking a little faster. I always hated cramped spaces like caves and tunnels. In a few moments, the exit was within feet. And before I knew it, I was at the end. And that's exactly where I was, the end, the exit of the cave. The ground dropped off to a cliff, and there was no other way to go. I looked back into the dark cave behind me. I knew there wasn't any turns. It was a straight tunnel. I turned and looked down over the edge. What I saw made my stomach turn worse than it ever did before. What I saw was an ocean, water all around and nothing else in sight. The drop must have been 100 feet with a small rock formation at the bottom. After a few seconds of studying the rocks, my stomach turned more than I thought possible. My body broke into a fresh sweat. The rocks formed a number. The rocks formed a 5. Oh, hey, Grog, what's going on? Sitting in for a hot minute. I'm reading No End House right now. I'm going to continue. I stood up and backed away from the edge. I hated heights. I was stopped by a wall that shouldn't have been there. I turned around and was met with a terrifying sight. The cave was gone. I was face to face with a solid stone wall, the side of whatever mountain this was. I had to keep telling myself this was still in the No End House. I didn't leave. Clearly this isn't an actual mountain, but it felt so real. I turned back and looked over the cliff again. There was no way. This house has been pretty messed up. This house has been pretty messed up before now. I was outside, for God's sake. But what it expected me to do now was too much. I knew what those rocks down there meant. It was the entrance to room 5. There was no stairs leading down, no other paths to use. I was trapped again. The house wanted me to jump. I sank to the ground and curled up into a ball. I couldn't do it. There was no way I could jump off a cliff into the jagged rock formation 100 feet below. My mind was split in two. I knew that I was still inside, but my surroundings screamed in my ear the opposite. I stayed there on the wooden floor for a while, At that point, I had lost all concept of time. After what seemed like weeks, I finally stood up. Slowly, I made my way to the edge of the cliff and looked down. The giant five taunted me to jump. I knew I couldn't do it, but it taunted me. And then the hum returned. A low and distant hum. It seemed to come from behind me, resonating with the mountain. I don't know what came over me, but after hearing that sound, something inside me lit up. I clenched my eyes shut and I jumped. The wind was rushing up as I fell, and a deep fear washed over me. I was going to die. I was going to smash into these rocks and die. They were going to tear me up. They were going to tear me apart, and I was going to die. I didn't care. I didn't dare open my eyes. I just fell. Even with the loud wind around me, the hum was now deafening. I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted to hit the rocks, and I wanted it to be over. And then I stopped. I wasn't falling anymore, but I never hit the rocks. I opened my eyes and looked around. I was standing on the familiar wood paneling of the house. The hum was gone, and the silence took its place. The hum was gone, and silence took its place. I had made it. I was in room 5. I don't know how it happened, but I was in room 5. The feeling of dread was gone. I was just incredibly happy to be alive. After a few moments to collect myself, I decided to take a look around to the rest of the room. My happiness left me fast. The room was empty. The walls matched the floor, and the ceiling matched the walls, and the walls had no doors or windows. I was in a sealed box. Then I realized I didn't make it. I wasn't safe. I had made it out of the 4th room, but only to enter room 5, and there was no leaving it. At this moment, I wondered if David had been in this room. I wondered if he had jumped off the 100-foot cliff and ended up stuck in this room. If he did, that means he got out. He wasn't there. I was alone. He got out and I would too. The thought of David escaping this room gave me a newfound confidence, and a second wind filled my spirit. I was going to get out of this room, find David, and get us the hell out of here. I walked around the perimeter of the wall and felt for any sort of inconsistencies. Nothing. The walls were flawless, barely a scratch on them, let alone some secret exit. I started to knock at random places on the wall. They were completely solid. The confidence started to leave me. I was running out of ideas. That's when she spoke to me. Maggie. You shouldn't have come here, Maggie. I nearly jumped out of my skin, if that was possible. I was still facing the wall, and the voice had come from the middle of the room, the voice of a little girl. The voice was that of a little girl. At least, that's what it sounded like. I turned around slowly, and my eyes fell on who spoke to me. I turned around, and my eyes fell on the one who spoke to me. I was right. A little blonde girl, no more than 7 years old, with light blue eyes and a long white dress. She smiled at me and spoke again. Motherfucking phone! You're on airplane mode! Fuck you! Asshole! She smiled at me and spoke again. But now that you're here, let's play a game. There was something horrifying about that little girl. She wasn't scary like those horror girls in those Japanese movies. She looked completely normal. If I saw her walking down the street, I would have just walked on by. But looking into her eyes, I felt complete terror. Jumping off of a cliff was scary, but But I wouldn't jump off 20 cliffs twice as high if it meant I could take back... But I wouldn't jump off 20 cliffs twice as high if it meant I could take back 1 minute of looking... I felt kind of... I don't think that's right. That doesn't sound right. If I felt complete terror, jumping off of a cliff was scary, but I wouldn't jump off 20 cliffs twice as high if it... Jumping off a cliff was scary, but I wouldn't jump off 20 cliffs twice as high if it meant I could take back 1 minute of looking into this girl's soulless eyes. Jumping off of a cliff was scary, but I would jump off 20 cliffs twice as high if it meant I could take back 1 minute of looking into her soulless eyes. After a moment of staring, I finally spoke. "What game? Who are you?" I mumbled. "If you lose, you die. If I win, he dies." My heart sank somewhere below my feet. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but I knew she was telling the truth. "Which will it be?" she smiled. "Neither. I don't know where I found the courage to talk back to this demon girl. No. I don't know where I found the courage to talk back to this demon child. But I had come too far just to let David die. And if I died, it was all for nothing. No, I choose neither. But then I saw it. The reason the little girl terrified me. She was more than just a small child. Looking at her, I also saw what appeared to be a large man covered in hair, with the head of a ram. It was a horrible sight. I couldn't see one without seeing the other. The little girl stood in front of me, but I knew her true form. It was the worst sight I had ever seen. Too bad. And with that, she was gone. I was alone again, in an empty and silent room. Only this time something was added. A small table where she stood appeared from nowhere, as though it was there the whole time. There was something on it, but I couldn't tell where it was. But I couldn't tell from where I was. I walked up to the table and looked at the small object. It was a small razor, like one you would find in an X-Acto knife. I reached out to pick it up, and as I did, a scream left my mouth. When my hand came into view, I saw something that was never there before. It looked as though something was branded into my skin. A single number. 6. I looked back at the razor and noticed the tag attached to itself. To Maggie, from management. "Thought you may need this." Is there any other hidden cameras? Okay, it's still there. After reading the note, I started sobbing uncontrollably. Tears were rushing down my face harder than they ever have in my life. I had never cried like that, and I don't think I ever will again. I fell to the ground, sunk my head into the hardwood floor. I was sobbing for hours, just lying there on the ground. And then the crying stopped in depression. Damn. And then the crying stopped, and depression set in. I didn't even know why I was crying. It wasn't about David. It wasn't about how I was stuck there. There were still no doors in this room. I was still trapped. But that's not why I was sad. I was in the deepest depression possible. Complete and emotionless depression. I felt empty and clawed my way up from the ground and steadied myself against the table. My eyes fell on the razor. I picked it up. I was going to kill myself. I couldn't handle it anymore. I had had it. David was probably dead. I was trapped in here. It was over. I pressed the razor against my wrist, right above the 6 that had appeared on my skin. The sobbing came back, and I just stood there, crying, with the razor pressed against my wrist. David was dead. I was about to die. Nothing mattered anymore, and with one deep cut, I sliced down my wrist. Immediately after slicing down my wrist, I was no longer in room 5. I didn't die. I knew that for sure. The depression was gone, but I was by no means happy. Tears were still finding their way down my face. The room I was in was similar to the one previous, and again, it had no doors. There wasn't any lamps, but somehow I was still able to see everything clearly. The room was completely empty, but before I had time to think of what to do next, it went dark. And the hum from before returned. I covered my ears in protest. It was louder than it ever was, but it was over in a moment, and the lights returned, only this time something was added to the room. And then I screamed. There, in the middle of the room, strung up by chains, was naked. Strung up by chains and naked from the waist up was David. It looked like he was tortured. Knife wounds littered in his chest and arms. David! I ran up to him as fast as I could. He was conscious. I saw his chest moving up and down, but he wasn't speaking. And that's when I noticed what was etched into his chest. I dropped to my knees as I saw it. The 7 stared. Oh. The 7 stared back at me as though it had eyes. I hear David try and speak, and I got to my feet and got as close as I could to him. David, can you hear me? Maggie, what are you doing here? His voice was slight, but he was talking, and I was thankful for that. David, I'm trying to save you. How do I get you down? There were large padlocks on the chains, holding him in place. I turned around. Bleh. I looked around the room for any sort of key, but all I found was a small knife in one of the corners. The metal was way too thick for that knife even to dent it. So I disregarded it as useless. I went back to David, and it looked like he was on the verge of death. And then I felt my pocket vibrate. It startled me something awful, and I took the phone out of my pocket, as I suspected. One unread text. I flipped open the phone. That isn't me. I didn't know what to think. David was right here in front of me, but the text was from the first number that contacted me, as it is the first text I received from David that mentioned the no-end house. Maggie. I hear his voice clearly with my ears in my head. I hear his voice clearly with my ears in my mind. Damn it. I hear his voice clearly with my ears and my mind. It seemed like his voice was coming from all sides. Maggie, you have to go on. What are you talking about? How? I was face to face with David, or whatever it was that was chained up here. The knife. He made a slight movement to his head toward. He made a slight movement of his head toward the corner. Go get it. I ran and was immediately backed with. I ran and was immediately back with the knife clenched in hand within a few seconds. I had no idea what was going on, but I needed to save him. And now stab me in the chest. What? What? I was shocked. David hung there staring directly into my eyes. You have to run that knife through the 7 across my chest. It's the only way to save us both. No. I stumbled backwards. No, you're not making any sense. Maggie! I was screaming now. His eyes looked frantic. The side of his mouth curled into a twisted grin. Maggie, stab me now, it's the only way. I looked down at the knife in my hand. My head felt as though it was being struck with a bat. I was at a complete loss. I clenched my eyes shut tight. That sounds damn. I clenched my eyes shut tight and felt the knife in my hand. Maggie! And with a scream and a thrust, I stabbed the knife into David's chest. I didn't know what came over me. I just knew it was the only way. I opened my eyes and saw his face. It was terrified. Tears slid down his cheeks, and David looked into my eyes. Tears slid down his cheeks, and David looked me in the eyes. Why did you do that? He couldn't fool me. I know that wasn't David. It couldn't have been, or else I would have been able to... It couldn't have been, or else I wouldn't have been able to stab him. I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't. Why is it repeating? It's a couple times now. His eyes rolled back to his as the life left. His eyes rolled back as the life left him. But then was... Oh shit. Oh god. His eyes rolled back as the life left him. But that's when it changed. The 7 on his body was gone. The blood dripped down to the ground in a pool below me. The blood dripped down into a... The blood dripped down onto the ground. The blood dripped down onto the ground into a pool below me. The crimson liquid stretched out into every direction. The circle nearly filled the room, and I began to sink. I tried to move, but I couldn't. It was like quicksand. The blood was up to my knees now. As much as I tried to struggle, I just sank deeper. Up to my chest now, I clawed and scratched at the wood around me. The lifeless body of David hung above, his head facing me, smiling. The blood reached my neck. I was beyond terrified. Before long, I was fully submerged and fell into darkness. When I woke up, I was outside the house. I could feel the cold earth below me. I rolled onto my back and looked up at the night sky. The no-end house toward me above. The no-end house towered above me, complete with my car parked in the same spot. I wasn't sure whether I should laugh or cry. I was out. I was out. I got up and dusted off my pants. My body was still shaking as I walked to my car. But a feeling of uneasiness washed over me. There was no way I escaped. The house wouldn't just let me go. Something wasn't right. I knew it. I knew I didn't kill David in the 6th room. I knew I didn't. But he was nowhere to be found. I reached down into my pocket and took out my phone. No unread messages, but I had service. I flipped it open and I began to text to David. "Where are you?" I wrote. Within a second of sending it, I got a reply. I pressed open excitedly. "Room 10. Your room 7. Run." "Room 10. Your room 7. Run." And the deafening hum returned. I bolted. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I wasn't outside. I was still in the house. The hum rattled everywhere around me. It shook the trees and the air itself. I just needed to find an 8. I needed to find the next room. That was my only chance. I needed to find room 8. The first few rooms were obvious, but as I progressed, it was getting less and less clear where the room started and ended. I had no idea what I was looking for. Anything that had a number on it. I needed to find an 8. I needed to find... Unread text. "Your address." What the hell did he mean? My address? I slid my phone back into my pocket. The hum was growing louder and louder. And that's when it hit me. My address. It couldn't be. No, it couldn't be. 4896 Forest Lane, Unit 8. I slammed into my car and flung the door open. The hum shook the metal of the car and seemed to follow me inside. I floored it and made my way back down the dirt road toward my apartment. None of this was making sense. How was room 8 my apartment? Should I even trust that text? It was from David. I know it was. There was no reason not to trust it. It took no time at all to drive to my complex, and honestly, I didn't even remember driving. It was like when you zone out for a minute and wake up further down the road. I didn't even bother locking it as I ran up to the front gate. My hands fumbled with the keys and I unlocked the bolt and made my way into the first hallway on the left. My complex was huge, but my apartment was one of the first ones on the left. I ran as fast as I could, past 4, past 5. My head was spinning and the night was weighing down on me like a lead vest. Past 6, and the further I made down the hallway, the further away the hum seemed to be. As I passed Unit 7, I could barely hear it anymore, and when I stopped in front of my unit, I was in complete silence. I just stood there, standing in front of my apartment. A small gold 8 was at eye level with me. I reached for the doorknob and slowly slid my key in, twisted, and the door swung open, and I was stuck in it like a vacuum, the door slamming behind me. Room 8. I got up off the floor and looked around. It was identical to my apartment. If I didn't know any better, I would have assumed that it was home, and I was in a bad dream. If I didn't know any better, I would have assumed that I was home and that this was a bad dream. My mind went to David. I wondered what room 8 was to him. What it was that the house showed him. I walked around and studied the area. Literally, everything was how I left it. Right down to the half-eaten Chinese left out next to the sink. I looked over to my computer desk in the family room. The monitor was still on. The aim was still up and running. I walked over and sat in front of it, scrolling through my conversation with Peter. It was there, word for word. The house knew all of this. And how I had no idea. To be honest, I tried my hardest not to think about it. The answer, no doubt, something was better off not knowing. I tried to click out of aim, but it wouldn't let me. The computer just froze. I clicked shut down. Nothing. I clicked Control-Alt-Delete. Nothing. I pressed the monitor's power button. Nothing. And then a pop-up appeared on screen. It was a video chat. I looked at the list of people on it, and there were 2 names. Maggie and Management. The video feed was live, and all it showed was a gray wall. Then a message from Management popped into the text box. Hope everything is how you left it. Who are you? I responded. Enjoy the show. And that's when the camera turned. The camera focused on a young man strapped to a surgical table. He was completely naked and sobbing quietly to himself. The image wasn't that clear, but I thought I had recognized the man laying there. He was tall, short brown hair, and a fairly pale complexion. This is what happens to people who attempt to cheat. When I realized who it was, strapped to a surgical... That's when I realized who it was. Strapped to the surgical table was Peter Terry, and he wasn't alone. I don't want to describe what I watched in that moment. The screams, the sounds that Peter made were unlike anything I had ever heard out of a human. I couldn't look away. I wanted to, but I think it was the power of the room. I couldn't look away. Peter let out one final soul-curdling scream. But I didn't hear it through the computer speakers. It was coming from my room. My room? I think in that context would probably be wrong. Whatever. My heart sank as I spun around towards the hallway. I got up off my chair, and I could still hear the screams emanating as I walked towards its source. I reached my bedroom door, and the screams were now replaced by the hum. That hum. It had haunted me the entire time. I slowly opened the door, and I saw inside my room what I had seen on my computer. There was the surgical table. Table? There was the surgical table. I damn near said it. Fuck. There was the surgical table. with whatever was left of Peter Terry strewn across its top. No one else was there. The others in the room were gone, but a chill went up my spine. The management was there with me, only one room away. I walked closer to the table and stretched. The stench was horrific, and it took everything in me to stop from vomiting. I knew I was nearing the end. I had to be. I looked around the room. Somewhere in there was the entrance to the next room. I knew it had to be. It was. And it was. But it was simpler than I had expected. Across the room, where my bathroom door should have been, was a simple wooden door. Similar to the early ones in the house. Something was stapled on the door, something long and bloody. It was the entrails of Peter Terry, and they formed a 9 on the door. I felt bad for Peter, but I had gone through hell that night. I walked right past the table, picked up a long surgical knife, and didn't give the body a second glance. The final door was there, and I walked right up to it. The night was about to end, and I was coming out of the room with David, and I was going to stop whoever it was from keeping him here. The door opened easily, and as I stepped through, I saw what was waiting for me. It was an empty room. It resembled a waiting room for a doctor's office. There was a few chairs lining the wall and crumpled up old magazines in a basket in the corner. Across the room, on the opposite side where I came in, there stood a single door. My heart sank when I read the label printed on the wood. It wasn't a number, it was a single word. Management. I clenched the surgical knife in my hands. Alright. I'm fucking ending this. They were on the other side of the door. I could feel it, and David was too. The hum was louder than it had ever been. How much louder does the fucking hum go? Damn. I could feel it inside me. It was coming from inside me. As I walked, it got louder, and as I placed a hand on the door, the room was filled with the sound. I turned the knob and opened the door. The room was waiting for me. Was not what I expected. The room waiting for me was not what I had expected. I was in the front lobby, the same front lobby that began the entire hell, only this time there was someone behind the desk. My heart jumped out of my chest as I saw who it was. It was Peter Terry. Hello, Maggie. Peter. Peter? No, there was no way. How? What? Who were you expecting? A ghost? Satan? Some creepy little blonde girl? He was smiling. I wasn't. What the hell is going on here? Maggie, come on. Just think for 2 seconds. Who first told David about the place? You didn't. Who told you about David's whereabouts here? God damn it, Peter, you were his friend! I'm sorry, Maggie, but that's how we run business here. Where is he? Where is he? He's in here with us in the house, Maggie. He isn't going anywhere, and neither are you. I don't know what took over me, but I just lost it. I jumped over the counter and shoved Peter to the ground. I grabbed him by the hair and slammed his head into the ground, the surgical knife in my other hand pressed firmly against his neck. I wanted to kill him. I had to kill him. He killed David. He wasn't killing me. Maggie, you can't. There's always going to be someone to run the house. No. I slid the knife across his throat and slammed his head further into the ground. I don't think there will be. With his death, the room went dark. I could still feel the surgical knife, but now I was no longer holding on to Peter's hair. I don't know for how long I was in darkness, but it felt like ages. I stood and felt for the desk, balancing myself with one hand on the side of the marble surface. When the lights came on, I could see the windows across from the room. It was still night out. I looked out and saw him. David was walking around outside, seemingly unharmed. I ran to the door and tried to open it. I was so happy, but the door wouldn't budge. I tried my hardest, but the door wouldn't let me out. I looked out the window and saw David as he began to walk down the dirt road. I rested my head against the door and saw it. My stomach lurched. There, pinned to my chest, was a name tag with one word: management. Well, hot damn. Oh, that was a doozy. My God, that was a roller coaster. I'm surprised I was able to finish it in less than a fucking hour, though. God. Oh. I really thought I was going to be repeating a lot more in that. But damn. That's a good story. I can see why there's why they did a live action adaptation on some channel. Alright. Right, that's all there is there. Okay. Neat. Alright, so I do have another long one that I like a lot. There is, where is it? There it goes. Have you ever heard of $1.wave? It's known as a part of the Goodman saga, I believe. Let me look it up real quick. I got it in here. It was one of the earlier ones that I read in my time. And for a while, when I was... So the reason I have all of these, all 8,830 of these creepypastas, and there may be a few repeats here and there. When I was at school, going to college, I was working on... there we go. I was going through avionics, but I would be waiting to hang out with my fiancée when we were still going out when we were young. No, I don't care. Don't worry about it. Give it back. Go away. Okay. So when I would be waiting, I would just go to the library. I would take my jump drive and I would just copy everything. I would copy post for post, save it in a Word document or a notepad at the time, I think. I think I did Word. I hope I did. And that's what I would do. I would just take it and roll with it from there. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, part of the Goodman saga. And I always found this interesting. Actually, you know what? Can I find this? That's hard to look at. What the hell? Alright. Oh. Hello. Go away. Okay. Have not heard of it before. Cool. I did get to ask Mr. CreepyPasta about it. He also did not hear about it before. So... Okay, so camcorder seems to be another. So this is part of what's... Like I said, this is part of the Goodman file. Is it about the Pyramid Eye thing? I don't think so. So this follows... This first one follows 9 posts. Jesus, go. Why? Christ, dude. Alright. Don't connect the OGG format to be posted on the wiki. Play clip. I have no idea. Can be posted on the wiki. Oh, is this Dead Mouse? Yeah, let's not play that. I know I don't have monetization, but I also don't want to get anything like that. Well, the 9 parts are posts. There is more to this saga, as it is. So it's just set up in these chunks, I guess. And then towards the end, you have next installment. Since this is the first installment, there's no previous installment, and you can link to the rest of it. And I've read this one. I have not read the rest of them. So, like I said, first installment, and I thought it was written really good. And I think it's I think it's a shame that it's not mentioned as much. What the hell? Why is this here? Okay. So now we just got to Alright, so this was no end house volume 2? I'm going to put volume. It'll be easier that way because I already set them up in like parts. I don't think I'm going to do it on this when I actually make the episode. I think I'm just going to make it a full episode. A lot of people like to be able to listen to it, and apparently people have a lot more lengthy time than I initially thought. Live streams tend to do pretty well for most people. For the longest time, I just didn't have that kind of time. I had like maybe 15-20 minutes. So a lengthy video, was hard for me to deal with. Alright, so I need new. Alright, so that takes care of the nice requests. Alright, need to delete the old one so it doesn't gunk up anything. Since I found it, I'm going to... Yeah, like podcast. There we go. I mean, it seems to do pretty well, and... I love CreepyPasta. I don't read them as much as I used to. The interesting about CreepyPasta is they can be real. They are not contingent on being fake. So, like I have Albert Fish's letter on my channel, and that is my highest grossing video because people are fascinated with the serial killer genre. He's a man who existed, and there's people who argued with me about, oh, it's not a creepypasta because it's real. Yeah, creepypasta is a internet story meant to scare or unnerve the reader. So being real or being fake is not contingent on whether or not it's a creepypasta. It's a creepypasta is not contingent on requiring to be fake or real or anything. So one of the interesting things when my fiance and I started reading them was that we didn't know which ones could be real or which ones were fake. So when we first saw something about IP addresses, it freaked us the hell out. I would say needless to say, but I think that needs to be said. That was terrifying. And that was the Jeff the Killer. Which, yeah, we know that's fake now. But the idea of it being potentially a thing that could happen, where someone, because you can find people through the IP address, and sources, which is why it's even more. Oh, that would be a great segue into a VPN ad. Do a Jeff the Killer creepypasta or something like that. or any of them where it's like tracking VPNs or tracking IPs, and then at the end, do an ad for a VPN service. But you want to know how to stop this kind of stuff from happening to you? VPN. IP addresses aren't real. They can't hurt you. Oh, man. Alright. So I hope you enjoy this one. $1.wave. It's one that I've enjoyed, one that I've been wanting to record for a while, but I had a problem where I didn't want to record really long ones because of how much time it took to edit. And in this case, I don't think I'll have as much, but there's certain clips that I won't be able to put in, I believe. It's one of the sound files I think is a deadmau5 song. Or maybe that was for something else. Maybe that was for 12 minutes, I forget. Ugh. See, I'm just glad that my audio works right now, because after seeing, Cirrus and stuff, the IP killer murdered some dude. Dude is Asia because you were using a VPN. It's like, oh my, oh yeah, I have my VPN set into South America and Venezuela because it's, I don't know, cheaper Netflix there or something. I was like, oh yeah, dude died there. Oh, oops. Oops, don't worry, it happens to everyone. What do you mean it happened? Bless you. Alright, I'm gonna get some more tea, but I will leave you with an intermission. Okay, I'm back. Alright, intermissions are real, and they can hurt you. Ah, pain! One. The pain of having to sit through intermissions. At least I don't have a mid-roll ad yet. I don't have ads, I'm not monetized, no one likes me. I'm just some loser. But I got tea, I have relieved myself. We're gonna get back on track. Alright, why am I setting up like I'm about to play Minecraft? I'm about to record scary stories. Maybe it's because I'm video game deprived. Okay, so $1.wave. Okay. Play a video game if you want. I might do that as a detox. Or I guess, whatever. I don't know. $1.wave. $1.wave. Post 1. The following was a blog post by John Goodman, posted on the 17th of August, 2011. Included with it was a download link to $1.wave. The file in question has been converted to OGG format so that it may be uploaded to the wiki. Goodman mentioned in the post that he would be doing extensive research on the mystery surrounding this file. If he reports anything back, it will be posted here. After my computer got burnt to a crisp in a lightning storm, I was left with only my old computer. Unfortunately, I had everything from my destroyed computer already backed up into USB drives and CD-ROMs. My old computer was running Windows 98 and desperately needed an OS upgrade. It was time to search online for a new OS install disk that was at an affordable price. God damn it. It was time to search online for a new OS install disk that was at an affordable price. You might ask, why not just get a new computer? I would have, but because of the crappy economy, I didn't have the money to do so. So my only other option was to upgrade my old one. Anyways, I searched around eBay to see if anybody was selling a copy of Windows XP at an affordable price. There was no way my computer would be able to handle Windows Vista or 7. So I would just have to go with XP. Lo and behold, somebody was selling a full Windows XP clean install disk for only $1.45. Nobody else was bidding on it, so I placed mine. Even after I had placed my bid, no one else did. Needless to say, I won the disk with nobody else to challenge me. A few days later, I received the disk in a white envelope, and I opened the envelope. Damn shit! Go away. I opened the envelope and pulled out the disk. It seemed just like any other XP bootable disk. I turned on my old computer and popped it in. I installed Windows XP as one normally would. While I waited for it to install, I popped some popcorn, took a dump, and watched some television. You alright? It's alright. Need something? Wrong pipe?
Sorry.
Wrong pipe? Alright. It's okay.
That one hurt.
Need a hug? Trust me, your health is far more important than me streaming.
That happens only all day, it seems.
I don't know, maybe try and perfect not breathing when you swallow or something, I don't know.
Not breathing, what was it?
Ideally. But it's accidentally like going, like just trying to breathe a little too early or a little too late or something. That ends up making that happen. Okay. Anything I can get you?
Don't breathe like when you're man.
Anything I can get you?
No, but probably when I finish this video.
Okay.
Yeah. 42.
Alright. Okay. Alright. While I waited for it to install, I popped some popcorn, took a dump, and watched some television, occasionally checking on the progress of the installation, responding to the dialog boxes, entering the registration code, etc. Finally, it finished installing, and I could use the computer. Ooh, excuse me. The first thing I did was transfer everything I had backed up from my destroyed computer to the old computer. CD after CD, USB drive after USB drive. I finally got everything onto my computer the way I wanted it. I decided to randomly browse around the computer a little before I turned it off and get ready to go to bed. This random browsing led me to the C drive Windows Media folder. Then I noticed a file in there called $1.wave. I didn't put the file on the computer, so I assumed it was installed along with the other files in the folder. But I realized I didn't remember any such file ever being included with XP when I had it on my destroyed computer. Wait, damn. Again, bugs. Before I realized I didn't remember any such file being on XP. Oh. But I realized I don't remember any such file ever being included with XP when I had it on my yeah. But I realized I didn't remember any such file ever being included with XP when I had it on my destroyed computer. Before I upgraded it to Windows 7. Curious, I double-clicked the file to open it. It was a very peculiar file. All I heard when I opened it was some weird static noise, almost as if it was All I heard when I opened it was some weird static noise, almost as if it was some extremely distorted song. The file was almost 4 solid minutes of this weird sound. It kind of creeped me out. It was nighttime, with my sleeping dog being my only company, and I found a file on my computer that I never put there, and wasn't part of the original XP installation, and it was 4 minutes of weird static noise. Furthermore, it's in a system folder. Thinking it might be a virus of some sort, I scanned the file. Behold, one Trojan came up. I had no clue where I would have gotten it from. I had barely been on the internet at all since Windows XP was fully installed. Suddenly I realized I had seen a file with the same name flash hook. Suddenly I realized I had seen a file with the same name flash for a split second on the screen as the disk installed all of my file systems. God damn it. Suddenly I realized I had seen a file with the same name flash for a split second on the screen as the disk installed all of the system files. I could only come up with one conclusion. The disk had been tampered with. I decided to delete the Trojan, delete $1.wave, and do a full system scan with both of my antivirus programs, Malwarebytes, Anti-Malware, and Microsoft Security Essentials. I was going to take a crap load of time to finish scanning, so I decided to go to bed while I waited. I still felt a bit mad that I went through all the time and finally got my computer set up and upgraded the way I wanted it, only to find out that the install disk had been tampered with. I woke up the next morning, ate my breakfast, took a shower, brushed my teeth, and went to my computer room. I sat down at my computer and turned on the monitor, which I had left off last night before I went to bed. I couldn't believe what I saw. The desktop background had been changed to the picture of a dollar bill. There were 2 errors saying that my 2 antiviruses had crashed, along with a bunch of other blank error dialogue. What was I saying there? Along with a bunch of other blank error dialogues that were all titled. What the fuck? Blank error dialogues. Along with a bunch of other blank error dialog boxes that were all titled $1.wave with a single OK button. Every icon on my computer had been replaced with a shortcut to $1.wave, even the recycle bin. My start button now said $1.wave, and the usual flag icon was replaced with a $sign. When I clicked the start button, or in this case the $1.wave button, to bring up the $1.wave menu, every icon there was also replaced with $1.wave. The administrator name was changed to $1.wave, and the account picture was that of a dollar bill. I clicked Don't Send Report on both errors saying Malwarebytes and Microsoft Security Essentials had crashed. I then clicked the OK button on each $1.wave error box. Okay, the screen was cleared of all of those windows now. I tried to reopen my antivirus programs, but they both gave me the blank error titled $1.wave. I clicked OK on those and went to $1.wave menu and clicked on Shut Down. But I just got the familiar chunk error sound. I tried the power button. Nothing happened. Finally, I just unplugged the computer and it finally shut off. I plugged it back in, I booted in safe mode, and tried opening the antivirus programs there. But when I did, my computer made the weirdest sound ever and abruptly powered off. I turned, pressing the power button, but nothing happened. It didn't even whirl up. That friggin' virus had completely destroyed my only remaining computer, and I hadn't even gotten it from a website or anything. It had come with my operating system. Well, that was that. I had to go get some things at the grocery store, so I left my house along with my dog. Oh, don't leave the dog. Take him with you. Let him on your shoulder or something. I don't know. I have yet to earn enough money to buy myself a computer. I have yet to earn enough money to buy myself a new computer. I do everything computer related on my friend's laptop that he generously lets me borrow when I need to check my email, do something in my bank account, online, etc. I've used that same laptop to type up and publish the story I've used the same laptop to type up and publish the story to the internet, along with $1.wave, which I have gone through and manually removed the malicious coding from. After a certain cryptic message I read was talking about some last evidence that will have yet to be destroyed if I share it with anybody, which you will read about in just a moment, I have decided to research it as thoroughly as I can with the mysterious $1.wave until I have figured out the sinister mystery that surrounds it. How did I get back $1.wave after my computer was just... How did I get back $1.wave after my computer was destroyed, you ask? Well... Well... You're good. Well, when I got home, my dog's ears perked up, and she began growling menacingly. She followed a scent into the computer room. Everything seemed normal. However, when I looked where my second destroyed computer was, it wasn't there. Everything else was there, but the computer was gone. I thought of robbery, but who would want an old computer that doesn't even boot up anymore? I also noticed that tampered with XP install disk had gotten off the eBay. I also noticed that the tampered with XP install disk I had gotten off of eBay was missing as well, and in its place was a different disk. It was a white CD-ROM with something written on it in green Sharpie. I picked up the disc and read, "This is the last remaining evidence that I know of. Keep it secret or I'll have to destroy it too." I glanced down at the table the disc had been sitting on. Where it had been was a single $1 bill. It wasn't crinkled or damaged in any way, unlike most dollar bills. It was in absolutely perfect condition, as if it had just been made. I took the disc and the $1 over to my friend's house, the one that has the laptop that I'm typing these words on. I explained how both my computers were destroyed, and he agreed to let me borrow it whenever I needed it. So I got on the laptop and put the CD in, and the CD was one file. On the CD was just one file. $1.wave. Post 2. Post 2. On August 26, 2011, John Goodman made another blog post regarding his continued research of $1.wave. Hey everyone, it's me again. So you all remember that $1.wave crap I posted about a week or so ago, So you all remember that $1.wave crap I posted about a week ago or so, right? Well, like I said I would, I did some research on it. Simply searching $1.wave on Google yielded no results. I asked on a message board about the file, but nobody seemed to have heard of it before. That is until I got a reply from some guy saying he knew of the file. And had bad times with it. It went as follows. Oh, don't even remind me. $1.wave? It's amazing how much trouble a 4-minute sound clip of heavily distorted music can cause. It was years ago. Same person on Craigslist was selling a computer with Windows XP already installed on it. At the time, Vista was still in beta and 7 didn't even exist yet. I went to her house in Cleveland to pick up the computer. I brought it home and turned it on. I noticed a WAV file in the C drive Windows Media folder entitled $1.wave. Curious, I opened it and listened to it. It was nothing special, perhaps a little creepy, but it didn't interest me. I closed it and went to the bathroom. I came back to the computer, and I could not believe what I saw. Everything was changed to dollars or some crap and a bunch of error messages titled $1.wave. I tried using my antivirus to fix it and instantly took it as a virus, but it wouldn't open. I tried turning off the computer, but it wouldn't turn off, no matter what. The only thing that worked was unplugging it. I tried to boot it in safe mode and use my antiviruses there, but upon trying to open it, my computer made the bizarre noise. But upon trying to open it, my computer made this bizarre noise and shut off, and refused to turn back on. I don't mean refused to boot into the OS. I mean literally would not power on, as if it wasn't plugged in. The next day, my computer was gone with a single dollar bill in its place. I know it sounds insane, but you probably won't believe me unless you had a similar experience with your file. But you probably won't believe me unless you had a similar experience with the file yourself. Cleveland. eBay had told me that the item location was Cleveland, Ohio. I now had a new mission: track down the person that sold me the install disk. I replied to him saying that I had indeed had a very similar experience. Requested he give me the exact address of the woman that sold him the computer, as I wanted to have a little talk with her. I probably sound like a stalker, but I didn't really give a crap. I needed to figure this out. Surprisingly, the user actually sent me the address of the woman and gave me a private message. Surprisingly, the user actually sent me the address of the woman to me in a private message. Living in Ohio myself, Cleveland wasn't too far away. So me and my dog got into the car and drove off. Oh, yeah, you take the dog with you. Jeez. Should have done that earlier. Always take the dog. Always take the puppers. We arrived at a small yellow house that could only be the home of a woman who sold me the install disk. We walked up to the front door and rang the doorbell. A woman almost instantly answered the door. She seemed to be an elderly woman, short and stout with white hair tied up in a bun. When I looked into her eyes, oh, those eyes, they seeped through me and into my soul, hungrily examining it, seeing if it was suitable to feast upon. I almost sprinted back to my car and drove off right then and there, but I couldn't. I had a mystery to solve. "Why, hello, John Goodman," said the woman, in a menacing voice. "Why, hello, John Goodman," said the woman in a menacing voice that sent shivers down my spine. My first thought, oh dear, she knows my name. Oh God, please help me. My dog growled threateningly at the woman. It took all of my courage to finally spit her out. "Look, I don't have time for fooling around. What is $1.wave, and why did you put it in my Windows XP install disk?" "Oh, I can't tell you that." "Oh, I can't tell you that," cackled the woman, whom I was now certain was no good. "Why not?" I countered angrily. "Because," said the evil woman. "However, I can tell you this. Be wary in the days that follow. For $1 will haunt until it is all hollow. For $1 will haunt until all is hollow." And before I could say another word, the woman shut the door on me, cackling wickedly. I had no other choice but to walk back to the car. Along the way, a man came by and asked me, "What are you doing over here? What were you doing over there?" I was talking with the woman that lives in that house over there," I replied. The man's expression became concerned. "Nobody's ever lived in that house for over 10 years. Nobody has lived in that house for 10 years. I looked to the house, but instead of a bright yellow cheery house that I had seen when I arrived here, bright yellow. I looked to the house, but instead of the bright yellow cheery house that I had seen when I arrived there, it was a crumbling abandoned foundation with a wooden plank nailed to the front of the door saying condemned in green letters. But I was just talking to an elderly woman that lived there a minute ago, I argued. All the color drained from the man's face. Elderly woman? Yes, I said. You know, with her hair all tied up in a bun and whatnot? The last person who lived there was an elderly woman, always having her hair tied up in a bun, but she's dead. So I didn't actually find out much of anything new about $1.wave. Oh shit. So I didn't actually find much of anything about $1.wave, but apparently it was created by a ghost. Interesting, but it's no laughing matter. I realized that the moment I saw the dang woman come out of the corner of my eye giving me the frantic soul-devouring stare. I realized that the moment I saw that dang woman out of the corner of my eye giving me that freaking soul-devouring stare and smiling like a maniac. When I focused on her, she disappeared, but then proceeded to sprint out of the room and hide under the blanket. I then Ugh. Come on, stomach. Don't do this to me. I then proceeded to sprint out of the room and hide under a blanket for the rest of the night. When I dared go back into the living room, a dollar bill lay on the floor where the woman had been. Post 3. On August 29th. Oh, fuck. Stomach issues? And just a little gassy. That's all. Just a little gassy. It's just like, stop. Just stop. It's not a big deal. It's nothing. Maybe some bees would help. Acid reflux? No, not acid reflux. I'm not feeling like that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what acid reflux is. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm only guessing are things just because of how it's described and not necessarily knowing whether or not it's that specific thing. Because I can only see things from my own perspective. I can try and see things from other perspectives, but when it comes to actually physically feeling stuff, it's like a different situation. Of like, okay, but are we actually feeling the same thing? Is my red the same as your red? I don't know. It's stuff like that. Ugh. Post 3. On August 29th, Goodman updated the blog again with yet another report about his research on the ominous $1.wave. It's official. That old hag is stalking me. Since my last post, I've been catching glimpses of her out of the corner of my eye, always with that soul-devouring stare and demented smile. She always vanishes as soon as I focus on her, and it always has to be at night when it appears. Each time I get the heck out of there and hide under a blanket for the rest of the night. When I dare enter the room again, there's a dollar bill where the woman was. I have actually collected all of the dollar bills she's left for me, beginning with the one that came with the last evidence disc into... Yeah, I read that weird. Damn, ice machine, stop. Each time I get the heck out of there and hide under a blanket for the rest of the night. When I dare enter the room again, there's a dollar bill where the woman was. I've actually collected all of the dollar bills she's left for me, beginning with the one that came with the last evidence disc into one wallet. Like heartburn is... Yeah, I'm not really feeling heartburn. I've gone 3 days straight without sleep because of this crap. In the most recent instance, she was even holding a bloody knife. That was enough encouragement for me. I packed a few things, and me and my dog piled into the car and went to my friend's house. Unrelated, I haven't told you my dog's name yet, have I? Her name is Coco, as in chocolate cocoa. Anyways, as I was saying, I told him everything that had happened. I'd kept it secret because I figured if I told him he'd think I was insane, but at this point I really had no other option. About $1.wave, the old hag that seems to want to kill me for some reason. About $1.wave, the old hag that seems to want to kill me for some reason, etc. I expected him to say I was crazy and call a mental institution, but miraculously he actually believed me. I guess he knew I wouldn't make crap up like this, so I'm gonna be staying at his place until the situation blows by. Post 4. Posted August 30th, 2011. Tonight my friend glanced out the window and all the color drained from his face, and Coco growled menacingly. Tonight my friend glanced out the window and all the color drained from his face, and Coco growled menacingly at it. I looked out the window and I saw it. That blasted hag. She stared into the room from outside of the soul-devouring stare. And that was with that same demented smile. Then she disappeared. We didn't need any more encouragement. We pulled down those blinds, nailed boards to every window in the house, as well as the front and back doors. I don't think we'll be going outside for a while. Post 5. Posted August 31st, 2011. I went on my friend's laptop and checked the forum thread that I had posted asking about $1.wave. Someone had replied there under the username $1. And guess what their profile picture was? That cursed old hag's face. With her trademark soul-eating stare. Damn, cat. You okay? Alright. Oh. Good night. Alright. In just a moment. There we go. Alright. Someone had replied there, under the username $1. And guess what their profile picture was? That cursed old hag's face, with her trademark soul-eating stare and demented grin. Her reply said simply, "Oh, more evidence. Guess I'll have to destroy it." I clicked the reply button to respond. But it said that the thread never existed. Furthermore, when I searched the username $1, it said no such user ever existed. Weirdest of all, her join date had been in 1928. That was 9 freaking decades ago. The internet didn't even exist back then. Post 6. Posted September 1st, 2011. While on my friend's laptop, a dialog box suddenly appeared, prompting me to download $1.exe. Knowing this could only be more of the old hag's haunting, I canceled the download. But, guess what? Downloaded anyway. Ain't that just nifty? As soon as it finished downloading, it opened itself. I prepared for the worst, another computer-destroying virus. The old hag contained within the computer file. It opened. It was a game. A game. Of all the wretched things $1.exe could have been, it was just some PC game. It showed a generic menu screen with the buttons play, exit, and options. The background was a picture of a dollar bill. I clicked options, just some graphic settings and such. I went back and clicked play, again preparing myself for the worst. It gave an instruction screen on how to play. Basically, the concept was that you were a bank robber. In each level, you had to go through obstacles and get the bank. In each level, you had to go through obstacles to get the bank and rob it. To get to the bank. In each level, you had to go to... In each level, you had to go through obstacles to get to the bank and rob it. In each bank, you'd have to fight a boss, and if you beat the boss, you'd get the money. So I played the game with my friend. So I played the game with my friend and Coco watching anxiously. Unrelated again, my friend's name is Bill. It was your generic platform game. I played through it quite easily. I beat 3 levels, and then the 4th one was the final one before I got to the first bank. I beat that level and fought the boss. The boss was some kind of banker with some superpowers or something. It was a World 1 boss, so he was ridiculously easy to beat. I beat him by shooting him in the head with a pistol, and got the money. The game counted up my scores and so forth before taking me to the first level of World 2. I figured I had played enough, so I tried to exit the window, but clicking the X only greeted me with the Windows error sound. It wanted to keep me playing. And judging by all the weird crap that had happened to me recently, the reasons couldn't be good. So I tried ending the application process with the task manager, but the end process button only gave me the error sound again. I tried shutting down, but the shutdown button gave me the same results. It was very similar to when $1.wave had first destroyed my old computer. Because the laptop was running on a battery, I had to take out the battery to shut it off. But the battery pack in, rebooted, and everything was normal again. I deleted $1.exe. I put the battery back in, rebooted, and everything was normal again. I deleted $1.exe. It didn't come back like $1.wave did. It stayed deleted. Post 7. Posted September 4th, 2011. More corner-of-the-eye sightings of the old hag. In all of them, she's holding a bloody knife. Boarding up our windows and doors didn't seem to help. She still got in the house. Today we unboarded the front door to go and get the Sunday paper. Even if we're hiding from a sadistic ghost woman who wants to kill us, we still gotta keep up with the news, right? It said that a banker had been found dead at a local bank, with a bullet wound in his forehead. It showed a picture of the man, and to our horror, he looked exactly like the World 1 boss from $.exe. The way in which I had defeated him had been a pistol to the head. The papers said that there was a bullet wound in his head. As I read the paper, I saw the old hag again out of the corner of my eye, holding a dead corpse under her arm that looked just like the banker. This time I didn't focus on her. I focused on the paper, to see what would happen if I didn't make her disappear. If she tried to kill me or anything, I'd just look at her. What is it? What? She just kept standing there with that demented smile and soul-eating stare. After a few moments, her smile began to fade and turn into a frown, as if she was disappointed that I didn't seem to notice her. I looked at Bill, and surprisingly, he followed suit. Even Coco was pretending not to notice the hag. I turned back to the paper so I could continue seeing the hag out of the corner of my eye. It wasn't easy, not trying to see something yet see it at the same time. I kept wanting to look, but I knew if I focused on her, she would disappear. I wanted to know what would happen if that didn't happen. Her disappointed expression then turned into a fierce and angry look. She raised her knife and lunged at me. In unison, me, Bill, and Coco all whirled around to face the ghost. There it is. She stopped abruptly, just as she was about to reach us, then vanished. This raised yet another question. If she wants to kill us so badly, why doesn't she just do it and get it over with, instead of taunting us like this? Maybe she doesn't want to kill us. Maybe she just wants to make us think she wants to kill us, make us paranoid to the point of insanity, just for her own sadistic pleasure and amusement. Sure wouldn't surprise me. Post 8. Posted September 5th, 2011. I woke up this morning from the little sleep that I actually got. I opened my eyes expecting to see the ceiling above me, but then I froze. Standing above me, looking down into my eyes, with her soul-devouring stare and insane smile, was the hag. For several moments there was silence. I said nothing, for I was too afraid. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. My heart threatened to burst. It was pounding. It was pounding so hard. Then, finally, the hag broke the silence. "Good morning, John," she said menacingly. It took all of my courage to respond. "Just tell me what you want and I'll give it to you. Just leave me alone," I replied. "It's just so sad when you have to live under a curse. The curse of my own creation. Forced to pass on the curse to others. The curse of $1. Of greed. I never asked for this, but after having it shoved down my throat so much, I've come to enjoy it. I'm not sure if my sanity's been pushed by this or what. But it comforts me to know others are feeling the same pain as me." "Enough of your cryptic crap," I yelled, and then suddenly Coco jumped out of nowhere and tackled the hag to the ground, growling furiously. The hag just smiled. Go ahead, do it, rip me to bloody shreds. I might just be the only hope of destroying this horrid curse once and for all. Your suffering will be gone, and everyone who's ever fallen victim to greed's villainy." Before yet another word could be said, Coco began tearing that woman into bloody shreds. I never knew my dog could get so violent, but I didn't care. If it meant the end of this terror that loomed over us, it was worth it. Me and Bill, who had been woken up by all this commotion, could only watch as the hag was torn apart. She didn't even scream. In fact, she smiled as if saying, "Thank God, it's finally over." And then it was done. Her body was mangled and ripped so badly you couldn't recognize her. Blood was splattered everywhere. Then the body, or the pieces of it anyway, began to shimmer and fade away. And then they were gone. No trace of them remained, as if as if nothing had happened. Then we noticed a note laying on the floor where the hag had been. Bill picked it up and read it out loud. Destroy the dollars. Destroy the disc. Do it before the remnants of the curse that lie within them enslaved you as well as it enslaved me. I instantly knew what I had to do. I found the wallet I used to keep all the dollars of the hag had left me. I found the wallet I used to keep all the dollars the hag had left me. I found the wallet I used to keep all the dollars the hag had left me, and I lit a match to it. A blood-curdling scream of pain sounded from it and almost made me jump out of my skin. I threw it outside, and it burned until there was nothing but ash and dust. Then I found the disc containing $1 I threw it on the ground and stomped on it. Another blood-curdling scream, and this spontaneously burst into flames. Now that's what I call burning a CD-ROM. It's a terrible pun. It burned until it was nothing but a bunch of melted plastic. I had used a shovel to scrape it off the ground and chunk it outside. For the rest of the day, nothing else happened. The hag never came back. Nothing. I think, at long last, this nightmare might be over. But I won't make assumptions too quickly. I'll wait a while. See if anything else comes up. If nothing does, I guess it's safe to assume the haunting of $1 has ended. Post 9. Posted November 12th, 2011. Well, I think I've waited long enough without anything happening that I can safely assume this is all over. Me and Coco have moved back into our house. Things seem to be returning to normal, and after some thinking, I've come up with a hypothesis on what all this crap is about. I think the hag was forced by a curse to do those terrible things. The curse was like a virus, using her to spread to others. I guess $1.wave and all associated things are all duplicates of this virus. I can only assume its proper name is greed, since that's what the hag kept referring to it as. How greed came to be, or what its purpose is, I can only wonder. But the hag seemed to hint that it was she who created it, and it was a screw up that she made that caused all this. I guess those dollars, the disc, the hag that were last remnants of greed, and by destroying them I destroyed greed forever? She was so anxious to get her hands on evidence and destroy it, because she wanted to destroy the curse of greed. I don't know whether any of these guesses are even remotely correct, but I don't really care. As long as the nightmare is over, I'm content with not knowing. I'm pretty certain that it's finally over. You think so, huh? Alright. Well, that is that one. I don't know, what's your thoughts on that one? I really liked that one. I thought it was written well. Oh, damn. So how many? That's only 3, isn't it? Oh. Shit. Interesting. Yeah, so of course it continues. Like I said, I haven't read the rest of it. Sort of like how I hadn't gone anywhere with the No One House, but definitely wanted to throw into it. This is part of why I'm really glad I went ahead and did it like this. Did it say who it was by? Shit, I didn't write who it was by on the No One House. Shit. Written by B. Little McNeilson. Neat. Alright. I don't know, I like some of these that have various computer aspects about it. I like haunted stuff. Greed. Greed? Punishing the dude who can't even buy a new laptop? Rip. Yeah. It's like, I'm not trying to be greedy, I just need more money to afford regular stuff. Come on, man, just throw me a fucking bone. I didn't want all this, man. I just wanted to use... I just needed a working computer. Alright. Seriously? Caught this on airplane mode, damn. Could you not? Throw you $1? Yeah, I mean, the guy can't afford, you know, $1. Like, it seems like part of that could have been interesting if, you know, if it wasn't a creepypasta, but it was a thing where you had an exploit where, sort of like that one YouTube video where it's, making a joke about the Bloody Mary challenge. And he does the challenge, and then there's actually the drink, the Bloody Mary, on there. He does it again, it works again. He does it a third time, but he turns the light on a little too early. And then he screams because there's a guy in the bathroom with him in the middle of still making the Bloody Mary. Then he turns the light back off. And then the guy who was making the drink was like, "You have a drinking problem." It was funny. Oh. Let's see, that's 3 of them, and they're really long. I'll see if I can't find that video sometime if I remember, and throw it into the Discord. It's pretty funny. Don't corrupt my computer. Okay, so I need another one. I'll get 4 of them at least. They're long. I don't like that they're all incredibly long, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, but his friend's name is Bill. Bill. $1. Oh, that's funny. So I'm overheated by my hoodie. I'm overheated, but I'm too scared to take it off. Hoodies make me feel safe because evil things don't know it is me. Insta-piled. Comments. Oh, that's funny. His friend's name is Bill. He's the problem. Alright, you know what? There is a random button somewhere here. Story content. Random story. Let's see what that yields. No, we don't need you. Oh, this is a short one. Count for inflation. Probably not. It's about as attentive as the rest of everything. It's about as attentive as a retail manager when it comes to your pay. So yeah, I don't think that virus is accounting for inflation, especially if it's way back into the fucking XP days. What was that? What was that? 2000? 2001 XP? Or am I thinking Vista? Yeah, it might be Vista. I remember people hating Vista because it just didn't work the way it should have. I never messed with it. I touched a little bit on Vista Business, and you couldn't really do anything. It was kind of sucked, but the computer ended up being shit. You know, it didn't really help either. Who made this? Written by Quipster Puck. Yeah, we can try this one. The Opportunity. Actually, you know what I should do? there's a ton of these that are like one-page reads that I have, and I could probably do that. I don't. So I actually one of the times I was talking to Mr. CreepyPasta, he didn't know about this wikia. I think he sources his from other places. I think he sources all his stories from other places. So he didn't know there was 14,000 odd stories that he could have read out of the amount he's already done. So I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, he's come around Alabama a few times, so I've got it was interesting to be able to meet him a couple times. I'm hoping we might be able to see him for Comic-Con again next year. All right. At some point, I should do just a whole bunch of these. Like, there's a handful of creepypastas that are just like, it's almost just a stanza. It's just like a few lines. Like, it's not enough to make just a video about. It's less than a minute. I guess I could make them into shorts, but I could quickly record a ton of them. I just don't know how to pronounce things when. I don't know. They look. I prefer haiku. So up here, this is just like 3 sections of ... and then there's ... and then this one, and then dashes. I don't know what that want. I don't know what they want with that. How do I pronounce these? Because I don't. They created these creepypasta, and like, this is a 2-page one, but this is 1 page. That's all it is right there. It's a mess. But like I said, I can line these up by pages, and then just do all these little teeny ones at some point. Maybe I'll do that on the next creepypasta stream, and throw them all together. But for now, I think I'll do this one. Can I organize by link on wiki? I don't know. Does it give a? I thought it did. Neat. They've got 12,320. So they've cut down on some of the copies and stuff. That's neat. Compute copy pasta of the month. Do these have times? I don't think I've seen them do that. But that would be very much nice, like an average read time, I can do it by length in my programs. I don't see any way you'd be able to. New stories. Explore, random page, community videos, images. Site rules, quality standards, categories. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything as far as length, but I might not be looking hard enough. Does search? I'm not seeing too much. Let me go ahead and get this one done. The opportunity. Get away from him. He is not yours to take. Not yet, anyways. Get out of here before I report you to... Get out of here before I report... Bleh. Get out of here before I report you for interfering. Oh, hello, I see you're awake. Today, sir, is your lucky day. Well, no. Oh, hello, I see you're awake. Today, sir, is your lucky day. Well, not really, it is the worst day of your life, to be completely honest, but thankfully you have me to help fix everything for you. I hate to break it to you, but you, sir, are, well, dead. No, this isn't some kind of sick joke your friend Stephen didn't put... No, this isn't... No, this isn't some sick joke your friend Some joke your friend Stephen... No, this isn't some sick joke. Your friend Stephen didn't put me up to this. No, sir. Use commas, people! They're very useful. You have one over here. You need one right here. Between joke and your. Damn. Remember your commas. They change context. Otherwise, all those English classes were useless. You are 8 feet in the ground, rotting away as we speak. Not only are you dead, but you, sir, are in hell. This is where I come in. Your punishment has been to relive the worst day of your life for all eternity. Or until you do things right. Yes, you heard me. You can change things by doing what is needed if you earn and... Yes, you heard me. You can change things by doing what is needed if you earn entrance into heaven. To earn entrance. Yes, you heard me. Yes, you heard me. Yes, you heard me. You can change things by doing what is needed of you. Damn it. You heard me. You can change things by doing what is needed of you to earn entrance into heaven. I know, you always thought hell was fire and brimstone. Demons with pitchforks demons with pitchforks laughing as they poke you in the rear and fillet your flesh over a lake of fire. Sorry to disappoint you, but hell isn't so exciting. Each person has their own personal hell. They are cursed to relive the worst day of their life over and over. Hell, however, has begun to overfill. Hell, however, has begun to overfill. Yes, you mortals seem to become more lost and wicked as time goes on. Thus, your opportunity. If you do your righteous work during this day, you will be allowed into purgatory. Yes, I said purgatory, not heaven, sadly. Only true righteous souls are allowed into heaven. I can assure you, though, purgatory is a hell of a lot better than hell. Don't mind the pun. So, let's get down to business. You have been here for 10 years now, and each day you have allowed yourself to be tricked and tempted by a demon. Luckily for you, today I am here to guide you. Do what I say and everything will work out. I guarantee it. Now get out of bed. We have a lot to do today, and not much time. As much as it pains me to tell you, I think you should go to Dylan's room. Hey, not so fast. You don't want to just burst in. I'm sorry, sir. I tried to warn you. Last night, while you were asleep, a man entered your house for a thrill. Unfortunately, he walked into this room where your wife was checking on your infant son while you passed out in the bed from a night of drinking with your friends. If it makes you feel any better, your name was the last thing that escaped her lips. She died thinking about you calling her name for help. Now that I think of it, I'm sorry. I don't know how to help. Damn. Now that I think of it, I'm sorry. I don't know how that was supposed to help. I just thought... I never mind. I just thought... Well, never mind. I just thought... Never mind what I thought. We have a lot to do. Now, go to your room and get dressed. Wear something you can move freely Where's something you can move freely in to accomplish what you need? You will need to be able to run and maneuver. Go to the closest and take the box from the top shelf. I think it's supposed to be closet. Now go to the closet and take the box from the top shelf. You know the old cigar box that you used to keep your revolver in? Be careful. Remember you kept it loaded. We wouldn't want you to... Be careful. Remember, you kept it loaded. We wouldn't want you killing yourself again. No, today will be different. Today things will be different. This man that entered your house is still here. Yes, you heard me. He is in the house right now. His name is Fred Tarrant, and he is far more deserving of hell than you ever were. This man gets his kicks by breaking into houses and slicing the throats of young mothers in their 30s before smothering their children. Your wife, believe it or not, was one of those lucky ones. Most he tortures mentally and physically before he silences them with his knife. Your wife was spared of this due to his other tendency. If the husband is home, he waits for them in the house to find the bodies. He watches their reaction as they cry over their bodies. Yes, that's right. He saw you when you found them. He was hiding in the closet, grinning ear to ear, as he watched the tears well up in your eyes. He will be coming to the room in a matter of minutes to finish up with you. You need to put an end to this scum. You need to save all of the future victims from his torment. Aim at the door. Yes, watch. It's beginning to open. You did good, sir. I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention he uses a gun to finish the husbands, but you got him too. You saved so many lives, you'll never know the service that you have provided the world. What, that? Are you going to purgatory now? Will this end? Well, frankly, sir, no. Yeah, you heard me. I said no. I know you did everything I asked of you. That's just it. The guy that left you as you were waking up. He was an angel. He was an angel here to try and save your pitiful soul. Luckily, I was able to drive him off. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have all this fun again tomorrow. Where'd you go wrong, you ask? What did you do to deserve hell? You must be joking. Yes, you didn't kill yourself this time. I have 4 words for you. Thou shalt not kill. Killing, sir, is a mortal sin, and you, sir, become no better than the scum you just killed in the moment you pulled the trigger. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Written by Quipster Puck. That was a neat little journey. Yeah, that was a neat little journey. Okay, so story content, wiki authors, sources, suggested reading. Is there a sorting? Recent changes, videos, community images, site rules, categories. Start with genres. Damn it. Give me. There should be just a straight listing. I don't remember doing it by journals, quality practices. See, the way I was able to do it is I was literally able to take these one by one. I don't know if I can do that now. Let's go to here. Welcome. View source. Post of the month. I thought there was how to contribute. I want to do more. Yeah, I used to be able to just go one by one. There was just a straight listing. So can I do more? Genre listing, special categories, suggested reading, memes, contests. That's great and all, but can I just get a listing of every single archive of this shit? Come on, I want the good and the bad to come on and give me a ride. Recent wiki activity, don't care. I do wonder. Can community, writers, forums, usage rights, discussions, CreepyPasta talk, history, view source, discuss, explore, random page, community, perhaps? I need to go to the community. Popular stories, suggested reading. If I just click suggested reading. All items. No, that's not what I'm looking for because I want to be able to look at all items. Damn it! Why? Tamino's Hell. That was a good one. Maybe a different site had it. Maybe. So this is Wiki. But if I'm right, Wikia is different. So, what if I did do that? What if I went to Wikia instead of Wiki? Is that different? It is. Sort of. No. This isn't the same page. This isn't the same place I got it from. Okay. Shit. Alright. Then I wonder. CreepyPasta.com? Well, that famous creepypasta story by rating, by date, by category, by length, by author, by length. There. That's what we want. Okay. Average 7.5. I don't know what that means. Does that mean 7.9 minutes? I guess. Alright. So I don't know. Okay, always one microwords. Okay, so this is by words. I see. So, if I just wanted to list them all by title. Yes. Whoa, why is everything blown up? Let's redo this. Sorting man by Dave. I can't. This is not optimal. What? Why is this site like that? What is famous CreepyPasta creep? No, there's no reason those need to be there. Interesting. That it would be done like that. By rating, by date, by category, by title again? If I do that. If I hit main menu, does that take me back? Yeah, this takes me back, so it's like they don't have it done right. Interesting. Home, Facebook, Twitter. Looks like this has the option of a random story as well. Alright. I just don't like the way this one's set up. Alright, let's try random on this. It's not a safe place. Am I actually going to be looking at this right? I don't know. Alright, let's try the same CreepyPasta wiki. Let's see if it actually gave us the choice to do. Go away. It doesn't look like it wants to give us a sort by. Explore. Videos, images. Recently edited pages, whereas we're about to showcase new stories. Contribute. No, this one doesn't seem to have it. Well, damn. Alright. Current pasta of the month, huh? Isn't that interesting? Suggested reading. Contest winners. Suggested reading list. No such special page? Oh, god damn it. Go away. Okay, I just want to see that as a listing, though. That's how I like to explore. But I guess you're not going to do that for me. Story content recommended, useful links. Oh, story listing. There it is. All pages. Main. Oh, nice. I go down that way, then I go down the next one. Then I can go to the... Then once I'm done with that, I just... Is there not a next page? Next page, I'm gonna drive. Neat-ish. That still doesn't give you a link, though. Alright. Let's just keep doing it like this. Let's just do another random fucking story. Give a quick judge on length. That's a doozy. Hold on. let me look around. I think I have one that might be interesting. It's 7 pages. I've already done Absol. That one was fun. That one was a good one. Absence of Silence. That was Jack. I've done Affront to God. I believe I've read all of these up to about this point. Anonymous. I've already done an apple a day. That's 10 pages. Let's see. Still 3 viewers. Neat. Maybe one day I'll actually be popular and not a loser. I don't want to be a loser anymore. See, for a while I was going one by one reading these. Black Coffin. Ooh, you know, I should share some of the videos that my fiance Kaltuna and I used to watch. There were some really interesting things that we found, CreepyPasta related, but were done really well, such as the Black Coffin. In fact, you know what? I can probably do Black Coffin. Are you serious? Black Coffin is not on here? You're kidding. No, this can't be the same page. I wonder, would the links still work? Maybe I can fix this. Maybe I can fix this up so that way I can source something. Is it here? No. No. Creepy Survival's Guide members. CreepyPasta recipe, survival guide. Sounds interesting, but not what I'm currently looking for. But in the S's, I think we can. Alright. Where? No, don't drag. No. Come on. Site rules. Yeah, I took care of a lot of these. Lots of Sonic ones. Here we go. All right. Okay. Control. Click. It is the same site. No. How? It's so different. You used to have everything you needed. It was set up so much better. That's a shame. Could have been a lot better. These are all the suggested, the ones that they will recommend you start with to get a gist of the realm of creepypastas. But I don't know. I don't think people are that I don't think people are that simple. In fact, if anything, I'd say it's complicated enough that if you just had a listing, people will find what they want. No happy ending. Reality and mental illness based. Let's try this one, shall we? Let me set up. Alright, let me save this one. This is Opportunity. By... Shit, who was it by? Come on. Oh, I guess this was the one. Alright, let me go to the history. I want to try and make sure I get the right person. No such special page. $1.wave. I found that. The opportunity. There we go. I want to get the right person. Quickie Puck. Quipster Puck. Okay. What, like Puck like Final Fantasy 9? I remember that Puck. Ah. Alright, new. You know, it always something that actually made me wonder. I remember for a while reading CreepyPasta repeatedly made it real hard. It was pretty hard to do sometimes. Reading creepypasta after creepypasta. Not impossible, of course, but definitely difficult. So, without further ado, no happy ending will. It's the next creepypasta. Let us start. No happy ending. Before you read this, I want you to know there is no happy ending to the story, and I don't know if there ever will be as long as I live. I'm a nervous wreck who's afraid of his own shadow, and no amount of medication will ever fix that. I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. It all started 4 years ago. Let me tell you now, those were the glory days. I had an excellent job, a beautiful wife, and a huge home. We even had a child on the way, but it was too good to last. One night I was working a little later than usual. It was a cool Tuesday. I remember that because it had been a scorching hot summer that year, and it seemed to be the only cool day in weeks. The office slowly started to empty as soon as people packed up for the night. While I was stuck at the computer finishing up the office slowly started to empty as soon. Damn it. The office slowly started to empty as soon. There is no soon. The office slowly started to empty as people packed up for the night while I was stuck at the computer finishing up my report. Eventually, the office became completely barren, as no one but myself remained. I looked at my watch. I believe it was around 12:45 a.m. But that's not important. What was important was that they were shutting down the power in 15 minutes, and I needed to finish up as quickly as possible. I was at my limit, typing hundreds upon hundreds of words a minute, trying in vain to finish off my report. That's when I saw it. It was only a glimpse, but I could swear I saw someone pass by out of the corner of my eye. It was strange, since the last person in the room was my manager, and he was the only one there to tell me the power was going out and he was leaving. I became unsettled and felt as if I should leave, so I decided to come in early to finish my report. I shut down the computer and looked back at my watch. It was getting close to 1 a.m., so I grabbed my stuff and rushed out the door towards the elevator. So I grabbed my stuff and rushed out the door towards the elevator when I saw the same movement. This time I spun around to see what it was, but nothing was there, so I sighed and pushed down. But nothing was there, so I just sighed and pushed the button. But nothing was there, so I just sighed and pushed the down button. I heard the noise of the elevator growing close, but all of a sudden the power went out. I slammed my fist against the metal elevator door in protest. I was tired and paranoid, so I hastily headed for the stairwell. As I expected, it was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. I gripped what I believed to be the railing and slowly made my way down the stairs. I was about halfway down when I heard the sound of a nearby door shutting. I was feeling nervous, so I picked up my pace. I was getting so close to the first floor when I started to hear footsteps behind me. I was becoming even more paranoid, so I began to jog down the stairs. The footsteps behind me were picking up in pace, and I guess I became a little unfocused as I tripped and fell face first onto the floor. I looked up and saw the door to the first floor. The footsteps sounded as if they were getting closer, so I scrambled to my feet and rammed through the door as fast as I could. I sprinted through the lobby and made it to the main doors. I felt a wave of relief come over me as I attempted to catch my breath. I felt a bit silly, I thought to myself, as I was probably just the caretaker, and laughed at the thought of me being scared of a caretaker. I opened the glass doors and walked out onto the sidewalk. It was drizzling a little bit, but It was drizzling just a bit, and I had forgotten my rain jacket at home. I considered calling a cab since the buses stopped running it by this time, but I felt it would be better if I had walked since I had been sitting in a chair all day. This was a big mistake. About 2 blocks away from the building, I started to hear footsteps again. I reassured myself that it was nothing and continued on, but once again, the pace began to pick up. I reassured myself yet again. The pace picked up to a full-blown sprint, and my paranoia kicked in. I ran as fast as I could, and what came to my ears worsened my fear. I could hear more than one set of footsteps. There were several. A smirk came across my face as my house came into view. I was almost home free. I made it to the path to my doorstep before I even knew it. But my smirk faded as my foot caught on a stone, and once again, I came plummeting towards the ground. I turned my head just for a moment. In a moment I won't soon forget. There were 5 men in overcoats and shades standing close behind me. I backed up towards the door as I stared into their blank faces. That's when my back hit the door. I quickly reached for the doorknob and turned around into the That's when my back hit the door. I quickly reached for the doorknob and turned it with lightning speed. Suddenly, the door burst open and I collapsed onto the floor. I jumped onto my feet and slammed the door shut. I locked it tight and sighed with relief and chuckled a bit and had turned around to go to the... I locked it tight and sighed with relief and chuckled a bit and turned around to go to find the phone so I could call the police. And that's when I was filled with great horror. What I saw was my wife. She was lying dead on the floor, with her blood smeared everywhere. I could feel myself becoming faint, and I must have passed out because the next thing I remember was waking up and the police banging on my door. I was blamed for the murder of my wife and unborn child, and I felt as if I deserved it. Because maybe, just maybe, if I had taken a cab, she'd still be alive. After the trial, I was checked into the hospital for being mentally unstable. They tell me that I have to come to terms with what I have done, but I know what I saw that night, and no doctor will convince me otherwise. I still don't know why those men did what they did. But one thing's for certain. They ruined my life, and I won't sleep until every last one of them is dead. As I said before, there is no happy ending to this story. But I think my chances of one just went up. I can hear the footsteps now. By Dazerbolt. Bolt. That one could go a couple different directions. That's neat. Alright. So that was no happy ending. By Dazerbolt. Excuse me. Yeah, that was a neat one. I like that. Alright, should I do one more or should I go the fuck to bed? One more. Or bed. I'm wondering who all is actually listening to me right now. No, we got Beast Wizard in chat. I can only guess I'm one of them as a concurrent viewer, since I've got both my Steam Labs and I've got it open on the YouTube studio and the live studio. So we can find one more fairly short one. Alright. But yeah, that was cool. Alright. Power of words. God, you muddy bastard. This one doesn't look too bad. There's a lot of space in between shit. Oh, The Power of Words by Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe's creepypasta. I just don't know if I can say all the words. I don't want to fuck that up. Maybe another time. Oh, god damn it. I don't want to fuck up poetry, man. Jesus. The red and green eyes are always staring. Oh, this is a short one. Okay, okay. I have green eyes. Am I always staring? I'm always lurking in chats. I'm lurking Surus chats. I lurk in other Discord chats. I lurk all the time. Don't clip that out of context. Alright. The red and green eyes are always watching. At the time, I was still in the first grade when we moved out of our old house. Before we moved, I was living in a reading. What? Before we moved, I was living in reading, and my grandmother, and my grandfather had a jewelry store at the time that just shut down. And my grandfather had a jewelry store at the time just down the street from the house. At that time, I used to walk to school every day just up on the hillside. School for me was long and boring. School for me was a long and boring place that I had to attend regularly. My teacher was not one of my favorite people. Luckily for me, that was a short-lived experience. I was glad to be out at school for good, seeing as how reading high is more like a babysitting service than a school. Oh, so the place is called Reading. Okay. We moved out and found a new home on the outskirts of Reading in a small development. The development was said to have been built on a swampland, seeing as how the water was laying into the ground and the roads flooded all through the bleh. Maybe you can tell I'm getting tired. Seeing as how the water was laying into the ground and the roads flooded after it was done raining. Seeing as I was living there for the years leading up to my graduation, Temple was now my new home. After we have settled into our new house, I began to see things that I had never seen before in my room. Oh, shit. Oh. For 12 years, I have left my closet door closed at night because I have seen something For 12 years, I have left my closet door closed at night because I have seen something that, to this day, still unnerves me. 2 eyes, at least, I believed were staring at me. I have tried everything that I could to think of. Damn, refrigerator, fuck you. I have tried everything that I could. I have tried everything that I could think of to debunk this as what it could be. I had a very thick blanket that was black, with a white Raiders logo, and with white writing. I have decided to use it as a curtain. Oh, shit. Seeing as how I did not like the amount of light that was piercing through the window at night, but to no avail. The two eyes did not disappear. Always staring, always looking at me. A red and green eye, never moving. Evenly spread apart. I never found out what it could be. I was thinking it could be a toy or something that would glow in the dark, but that was not the case, seeing as how batteries die. And I could have seen two eyes staring at me, and I have seen the two eyes staring at me for 12 years. Every night I closed my closet door, and I did not see the two eyes staring at me through the wood of the door. I felt some relief when I closed the door, knowing all the while that there was something waiting for me to open the door. Then, one day I had a friend come over and sit in the closet space. He said to me that he felt a presence in the closet. I don't know if I'm inclined to believe him, but I can only tell you what he said. He told me there was something in the closet that made him sick to his stomach, and that he felt uneasy sitting there. He left to go home that day with no other incident and was quite... He left to go home that day with no other incident, and all was quiet that night. Only the eyes were staring at me, never wavering or changing, just staring all night. I was getting annoyed by this, and was about to paint the black wall of the closet. I was getting annoyed by this, and was about to paint the back wall of the closet. But I was thinking, what if this did not work? And I was thinking that I could be... But I was thinking, what if this doesn't work? And I was thinking that I could be a real mess. But I was thinking, what if this did not work? And I was thinking that it could be a real mess, seeing as how I have to large wooden toy box. Damn it. Large wooden toy box in the closet full of stuffed animals. But I was thinking, what if this did not work? And I was thinking that it could be a real mess, seeing as I have a large wooden toy box in the closet full of stuffed animals. I decided not to do so after all. After a few years had passed with nothing else but those glowing red and green eyes staring at me, my grandfather from my mother's side of the grandfather from my mother's side of the family died at around the same time my great-grandmother died from my father's side of the family. At the time, we had to move a business and 2 residents. Seeing as how we had a lot on our list at the time of moving, everything had from 2 locations I did not pay it. Seeing as how we had a lot on our to-do list at the time of moving everything from 2 locations, I did not pay much attention to my closet. When we finally got everything out of the closet, I noticed that 2 glowing eyes were still staring at me, never changing, never faltering, just staring. Once we finally made the move complete, I did not see those eyes since then. I have not seen the eyes since then. I still wonder to this day if they are still there, looking out of the closet, staring. And there's no author. Can't find an author. Alright. I know I've definitely had some of that kind of problem where, like I said, mine were debunked. Like it was if you have a coat in just the right position, it looks like something staring at you from above. Look like a fucking ring wraith or some shit. That was crazy. Where's my damn cursor? Where'd it go? There it is. Alright, so it's the red and green eyes are always staring. Okay. Okay. Alright. We've had a good long night. Been doing this for 4 hours. We got 6 stories. I will definitely consider doing this. Probably not next week, but I would stream something else. Maybe Minecraft or something. But, yeah, I think that'll be about it. I'm getting pretty tired. It's 2:30 in the fucking morning. Hooray. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm surprised there was 3 people consistently for a good chunk of this time. Even assuming that I'm one of them. For about since 1:40. It's been 3 people. That's good for me. It's a lot more than I normally get. I normally barely get anything. Normally, I'm pretty sure it's just my own damn self watching on the studio. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm ready to go. So, thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to be my buddy. And always remember, you have potential. Bye.